starting from below. Through the ashes, starting from the dirt, running from the cold. Drawn to fire, love when it burns. When it all comes down to destiny, only you can bend the rules. One by one. Through the ashes, down from the dirt, they're calling out, calling out, calling out. When the skies are falling, hear the heroes calling. Can't hold us down, can't hold us down. Save the ones still crawling, hid behind the rolling. Can't hold us down, can't hold us down. Can you hear them calling out, calling out, calling out? Can you hear them calling out, calling out? Heroes are calling. Heroes are calling. Heroes are calling.
If it's Tuesday, that means it's the Apex Energy Summer Series presented by Boone, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram from Slingshot Racing League. Welcome, everybody. It's Ellis Thomas here alongside Chris Smith in the booth tonight. We're bringing you live racing action in the NASCAR Gen 6 cars from Darlington for the UD Awards Southern 200. Dubbed the track too tough to tame, Darlington lives up to its fearsome reputation. This iconic circuit is a relentless challenge, an unforgiving battlefield where the slightest mistake can exact a steep toll. Errors here occur in the blink of an eye, and their consequences are severe. Even the seasoned drivers who navigate this 1.36 mile circuit unscathed usually still carry a Darlington stripe with them as a badge of honor, a testament to their close encounters with the unforgiving walls. What sets Darlington apart is its unique egg-shaped design, a masterful engineering feat that gracefully accommodated the constraints of a highway to the north and a minnow pond to the southwest. This track is a true testament to the marriage of innovation and tradition. Darlington's been an integral part of the NASCAR Premier Series since its start back in 1950. Back then, it was one of just two paved ovals in NASCAR, and the only one exceeding half a mile in length. Darlington was, in essence, the birthplace of the superspeedway concept in stock car racing. Prior to the legendary Daytona 500 in 1959, the Southern 500 reigned supreme as the most prestigious and lucrative race on the Premier Series calendar. Chris, the original grandstands back from 1958 are still in use today, and not much has really changed about this track since its beginning. It was the challenge then, and it's just as much, if not more, of one now for these drivers. What are they going to have to do for 146 laps tonight to make it to the end of the longest race of our season?
Well, this is a test of both man and machine, Ellis. You mentioned how this track is one of the oldest in use today, and while it has not changed, the way that you race it has changed. Drivers used to be on the flat here, and now they're all the way up against the wall, painting the right side of their cars with those Darlington stripes. We're going to go ahead and take a look very, very quickly at our race analysis tonight. As you mentioned before, 147 laps around the Darlington Raceway, so this is a little bit longer race than what our slingshot drivers are used to typically, as this is a test of endurance. 68 laps on a tank of fuel, but we don't suspect that drivers will be pitting for fuel tonight. We suspect they'll be pitting for tires. A little bit more, that's going to be a little bit more important to them. 32 cars here tonight, and look down there. High tire degradation. So because of that, there is one extra set of tires in the pits for these slingshot racing drivers tonight.
Whereas tires are going to be a story that we're following all night when it comes to degradation and pit stops. Lots of stories to follow. We're going to set those up after the playing of the national anthem. So everyone, if able, rise and remove your caps. We'll be back on the other end of the Star Spangled Banner. Hey, Chris Smith and Ellis Thomas back here in Darlington, getting ready for the UD Awards Southern 200 for the Apex Energy Summer Series presented by Boone, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. Chris, before we get to the rest of the stories, I want to shout out to you. I know it's been a tough week for your family, but we're lucky to have you here tonight. We appreciate you still showing up and getting through with this. You're an integral part to this broadcast, so our thoughts and prayers are with your family. But let's talk about what prayers these drivers are going to have to say to get around this track in one piece tonight. First of all, they got to stay out of the wall. Chris, why is it so difficult to get around this track and make these passes?
I appreciate what you said there, Ellis. And yeah, I mean, this is the name of the game here at Darlington. You have to stay out of the wall. You got to keep the right side on that vehicle, and it's the old Dick Trickle line of to finish first, you must first finish. And one of the key parts to that is just making sure that your car is still handling well at the end of the race. And if you have body damage from constantly rubbing in the wall, we're going to see drivers make contact with the wall, and many of them will be okay. But there's no sense in risking that, and how close you get to that wall is one of those risk versus reward scenarios that maybe you want to try to avoid for a long time here.
Yeah, and speaking of risk, I wanted to give a shout out in the chat, first of all, to all of our participants here, our fans watching right now. But Dawn says that she's got flooding going on around her, so we're thinking about her and her community that's dealing with some floods right now. So be thinking about you, Dawn. Appreciate you still showing up, and we love your dedication. So some unique challenges for these drivers on track tonight, but we're going to have some unique throwback schemes. We do this tradition here in Slingshot Racing every time we visit Darlington, similar to what the NASCAR series does in real life. We ask drivers to bring their best throwback schemes, throwing it back to an old driver, kind of an old look they like on race cars, and we've got a lot of them tonight. We'll be trying to feature them throughout the broadcast, and we're excited to show you fans those. Let us know in the chat which one you like the most as we show them throughout the night. Chris, tires, you mentioned it. It's a unique challenge because it's a narrow track, but it's going to eat up tires real fast. We're going to talk to Scotty Sobczak about what he thinks it's going to take to save tires. But initial impressions, what's it going to take to hold on to those tires longer than the other guys on track?
Well, I've seen a lot of drivers free, especially on corner exit, and what that will do, that will wear the right rear out. And the drivers who are wearing the right rear out, at a much faster pace than wearing their right front out, I think they're going to be in for a really long race here tonight. I think they're going to have a really, really difficult time. When you're wearing that right rear quicker than the right front, it's just hard to maintain pace and be able to put that throttle down, especially when you exit the corner. So we'll be watching drivers who are able to manage that right rear tire on corner exit here tonight.
Yeah, and Chris, I did run a practice session with some of these drivers before the race to get a feel for the race car, and boy, oh boy, like you mentioned, it's edgy on the exit of these corners. I think we're probably going to see some drivers get in trouble early tonight and get taken by surprise by how edgy and loose that car is as it fishtails off of turns 2 and 4. Another thing that I'm probably familiar with is pit road entry here, Chris. I've lost 2 races, or at least a chance at winning 2 races, because I missed pit road on my first attempt or had an issue getting to pit road. This pit road starts in the middle of turn 3 and 4, and drivers really have to be on it at the bottom of the track, and if you're not careful, you can miss it. So drivers are going to have to be on the lookout for a difficult pit road entry. And in a night where we very well might have a green flag pit stop, drivers are going to have to be on point and their minds in the game. And then lastly, speaking of games, if you want to win $50 at the end of this season in 1 month, technically all it takes is 1 entry, but you can participate in the Apex Energy Flavor Fight. Apex Energy has 2 new flavors out, Grape and Ice Bomb. Drivers have been assigned to Team Grape or Team Ice Bomb, and if you want to know more how you can win that $50, you can scan that QR code. You can visit the link in our description of this video, and it takes literally 60 seconds. You can enter to win $50. Easiest $50 you'll probably ever win. So go over to our video description or slingshotracing.org to find out how to enter. And that's going to do it for the stories, Chris. The warm-up is coming to an end. Just about 28 seconds left. But it is indeed going to be Scotty Sobczak, who's your pole sitter. He was fastest in practice. He was fast in a practice session I ran with him earlier, Chris. I think we're going to really need to be on the lookout for the driver of the 81 tonight. He's winless this season, and quite frankly, it's been a minute since Scotty Sobczak, who kind of came in as a phenomenal force early in his slingshot career. It's been a while since he's got to victory lane, and I think tonight might be his best chance. He's going to be hungry for a win.
Absolutely. I totally suspect that he will be a driver to contend with. If you want to try to get to victory lane tonight, you're probably going to have to go through him.
And speaking of going through him, we're going to bring in Scotty Sobczak here as we look at our starting grid. He is going to be your pole sitter. So, Scotty, first of all, congratulations. This is Ellis and Chris in the booth. You got a copy.
Yeah, I got a copy for you guys.
Man, you're going to have a different paint scheme starting on the front row tonight. Talk to us about that Bigfoot paint scheme. Is that like Bigfoot, the creature, the alleged creature, or is that something else you got going on there?
Man, I suppose it could be whatever Bigfoot you want it to be, but as far as I'm concerned, it's a throwback to Bigfoot number 8, which is one of the most famous controversial monster trucks of the late 1980s in the competitive circuit, and so I thought we'd throw it back, even though it's not a car or a stock car. It's thrown back to a truck that's meant to drive over them, so we'll see if we can do the same tonight.
Hey, well, hopefully metaphorically, not literally, you drive over some other cars tonight, man. Talk to us about your fast. I saw you fast in the practice I ran earlier. What is unique about this track from a driver's perspective, and what are you going to be looking at is kind of the most important one or two things out there for you to hit perfectly tonight as we get ready to go green?
And well, it's like they always say, it's a driver's track, right? So, it's hard to pass here, and not necessarily because the car setup or the type of car, but it's because of the track and how narrow it can get coming off of turn 2. So I'll be watching, a couple cars in front of me. Hopefully there isn't a couple cars in front of me, but when there are, to make sure they're not bouncing off the wall, because that's where you find yourself in trouble here, is a speed differential coming off the corners and navigating through lap traffic, should we find it.
All right, man. Well, we are not going to keep you much longer, but how do you set up a pass? What is the goal? How are you going mentally about getting by a guy if you have to tonight?
You got to follow them and find out, exactly where you're faster than. So ideally coming off at 2, if you can catch them sliding up the track and having to let off, you can really dive it and get some speed going into turn 3 and hopefully get to their inside and a slight slide job there and you're past them. So that's an ideal situation, but these races are not always ideal, but we'll be ready for anything.
Hey, we'll be looking out for anything tonight, man. Scotty Sobczak in that number 81 Bigfoot Ford Mustang. Starting from the pole tonight. Good luck, Scotty. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
All right, so you heard from Scotty Sobczak there. We're going to hit the rest of the starting lineup. To his outside, Chris, it's going to be Braxton DeWeese starting second. Fun fact about Braxton, 2 starts, he's got 2 poles, Chris. Now, 3 starts, 2 poles, but average finish of 3rd here, so he's going to be strong tonight. We've got Josh Ward and Randy Bechtel starting on row 2, 3rd and 4th, Chris. Josh Ward won last week. Bechtel's been strong all season. Sam Stoner, great qualifying effort for the driver, the number 65, starting 5th. It's going to be Steve McDonald. Got off track with a great season last week, but looking to return to form tonight, starting on the outside of row 3, 6th. Patrick Pieper going to be starting in 7th. Great qualifying effort for him after a great finish last week. Jacob Sala in the 20s going to be starting 8th. Evan Pienta 9th. Brandon Ayers rounds out the top 10. It's Alex Harper. If he's going to get to the front, he's going to have to do it from 11th tonight. Alberto Alvarez, after a top 10 last week, going to be starting 12th. Johnny Rapp starting 13th. He's always been a fast driver at Darlington. Richard Hurst, despite saying he wasn't going to be fast, paces a 14th place starting spot tonight in qualifying. Derek Fike starting 15th. Steve Vest with a good qualifying effort, Chris, in 16th. Aaron Smith, he's going to have to start from 17th if he's going to get to the front and win a 3rd race out of 4 tonight, Chris. Ryan Jones going to be starting 18th. Logan Truitt 19th. Patrick Colby will be starting 20th. The rest of the starting lineup is going to be scrolling across the bottom of your screen so you can see where your favorite driver is going to be lining it up tonight. We've got just about a lap before we get ready to go green, Chris. I think I've counted at least 20 throwback paint schemes. It's going to be stiff competition for our throwback scheme competition later on after the race tonight. But lots of drivers getting involved and showing some enthusiasm for running some old throwback paint schemes. Hey, if you're in the chat tonight, let us know what your favorite scheme ever run is in a NASCAR race, who that driver was and what the scheme was, and we'll try to give it a shout out in the chat. Chris, these drivers are going to be starting the race 2 wide here. This is one of the most critical points in the race. Every time I'm racing Darlington, that start is critical because this is more than likely the most likely spot of the race where drivers are going to be side by side with each other head into turns. How do you approach that if you've got a driver next to you right on the start or the restart?
I've always been somebody, I like to just get single file by the time I enter turn 1 here. Running 1 and 2 too wide is possible, but it's difficult. So I want to try to get single file. If I got guys kind of, a little bit in front of me, I kind of maybe give him a little bit more room here.
Speaking of room, Scotty Sobczak right now has the best view in the house. He's going to lead him to green. We are underway from Darlington. Josh Ward a little bit loose on the start, a little bit of a stack up, but we are away clean. It's going to be Sobczak who leads him down into turn number 1. Braxton DeWeese slots into second, Chris. A couple of cars already sideways behind, but it looks like everyone is adjusting well at the start of the race. Everyone very gentle. Almost like they've got an egg under their throttle right now. Drivers have to be very careful at this early juncture.
Yeah, they do. You don't want to abuse the tires this early. You also don't want to loop that car around early on. As you mentioned, on these cold tires, the car is going to be its loosest as we see that Terry Labonte Ironman throwback of Braxton DeWeese right on the rear bumper of Scotty Sobczak.
Yeah, DeWeese closing up. He was within about half a car length of Scotty Sobczak. Thought he might want to poke his nose out, headed down into turn 1. Thinks better of it. It's a long race, 200 miles tonight, in fact, and he's going to have to be an Ironman if he's going to make it to the end of this one. It's Sobczak and DeWeese first and second. Meanwhile, Josh Ward has held station in third. He's got Bechtel and Stoner behind him. Right now, Chris, everyone kind of lined up single file up until the battle for ninth. Evan Pienta and Brandon Ayers kind of going back and forth here right now. Ayers just made his way by Evan Pienta. Ayers got a fast little car tonight after starting 10th. He's already got a spot early in the going here. I want to talk about that Evan Pienta 55 paint scheme that we're looking at in Ayers' rear view mirror just a second ago. That's a Family Channel paint scheme. You mentioned it in pre-race. Is Evan even old enough to remember the Family Channel as he gets loose off the turn 4 there?
Well, I had to go in and check with him, and I did before the race, and I asked him, Evan, were you even alive when the Family Channel was around? And he said he was not. But if you are a fan of NASCAR history, this is a Ted Musgrave Roush Racing throwback when it was on that number 16 for Jack Roush, and that was really like the first, extra car along with the 6 for Roush Racing.
Yeah, my favorite, first of all, I think the Family Channel, for those who don't know, is it now the CW? Has over the long transition period, I feel like the CW
maybe
is what her Family Channel originally was. My favorite Ted Musgrave paint scheme is that old Mopar truck scheme with the barbed wire on it. You remember that black and blue and white one? That was a good paint scheme.
And it was fast, too.
It was fast. I think that might have been a championship season or finished second in the championship for Musgrave. Good battle going on here between Sam Stoner and Randy Bechtel, Chris, headed down into turn 1. Randy Bechtel's got a lot of pressure coming from the back bumper, or I should say the front bumper of that number 65 machine. And I'm looking in the notes we have. I think he made a post about this earlier. I thought he did at least. What exactly the 65 is?
He did. I believe that is a Porsche throwback, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Old Dyson Racing from 1986 in the Porsche 962.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's a
good
looking ride.
And he's got a good view right now.
Yeah, he is. And you saw he backed out right there. It is hard to go through this part of the track side by side. We mentioned turns 1 and 2. That's the fast end of the speedway. It's also the single file portion of the speedway. There's really only one fast line through there. Down here in 3 and 4, it's the slower end of the speedway, and you might think, oh, the slower end, it's going to be harder to pass there. Actually, it's probably the easier end to pass. You've got options as far as you could run right down on that white dash line, or you could run up high on the wall. And really down here in 1 and 2, the line that you see Randy running right here is really the only fast line.
Only fast line, Chris. I'm curious if we can take a moment on board with that 60. Oh, yellow flag is out. We're going to try to figure out what happened on the track. Might have been Aaron Smith. Early on, Aaron Smith in the number 70, Chris, in that Dirty Mo Posse throwback. See if we can find out what happened to Aaron.
Yeah, we'll go back here and see if we can find out what happened to him. Right here, you see him.
Richard Hurst might have collected him.
Yeah, he is in line right here with Alex Harper entering turn 1. You see Richard Hurst up ahead in that 22, bounced off the wall, got himself in a tank slapper, and unfortunately took Aaron out with some contact with Logan Truitt. We'll see if
That
everybody.
70's going to be okay.
I think everybody's going to be okay. I think that there's not much contact there, and a nice job by everybody here. We'll actually ride on board with Aaron Smith so you can see what he was seeing up ahead. And unfortunately, I think that our pole sitter, Scotty Sobczak, might have had an issue as well here under caution.
That might have been a disconnect, Chris. I think the 81 might have had a disconnect. That's not good for the pole sitter, Scotty Sobczak. We talked to him in pre-race. His hopes were high for a victory tonight. And right now, that is looking like the internet might have other things to say about it. Obviously, this is a racing endeavor, but technology plays a role. Scotty Sobczak might be having some issues tonight. I noticed Patrick Colby also, Chris, was sitting on pit road early on in this race. I'm not sure if he had technical difficulties as we're looking for kind of a clean start. But either way, several drivers run into issues at the beginning of the race. And right now, a couple of drivers going to come down pit road. Aaron Smith, Chase Berry, Patrick Colby. I see Daniel Blau back there
Daniel Blau.
well, I believe.
I think that Daniel Blau is having some, I don't know what's going on with Daniel. He stopped on pit road right there. I don't know if he was maybe confused about where his pit stall was, but he's got it rolling again here, it looks like.
Hey, speaking of rolling, let's see if we can hear from our partners at UD Awards. Roll into a break real quick so we don't miss any green flag action as you see what it takes to make a trophy for Slingshot Racing League. Tired of generic trophies that gather dust? UD Awards creates custom trophies that become the highlight of your league ceremony. We worked with them to design these stunning pieces, from brainstorming ideas to holding the finished product. Don't worry, if you're not the artistic type, UD Awards has a massive catalog of unique designs and all sorts of materials, from classic wood to sleek acrylic or dramatic metal. And the best part? They're surprisingly affordable. Don't settle for ordinary. Make your next award ceremony extraordinary with UD Awards.
Hey Slingshot Racing League, Larry McReynolds here with NASCAR on Fox. I hope you're all doing well. You're watching Slingshot Racing League.
Hey guys, it's Josh Ward, Brand Commercial, and this season we're partnering with Slingshot Racing League to make sure our members can get wholesale manufacturer pricing on any Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram you choose. Whether you're just looking for a vehicle for your family or for your business, we've got you covered. Contact me directly to see how we can help.
Hey, back here in Darlington for Slingshot Racing League and the UD Awards Southern 200. It's race number 4 in the Apex Energy Summer Series presented by Boone CDJR. Under caution right now, first one of the night for a lap number 9 incident involving Aaron Smith and Richard Hurst. But everyone got it cleaned up pretty quickly, it looks like, about a lap and a half away from the restart. Chris, you mentioned it. Big story right now. Aaron Smith, points leader, not crashed, but spun early. It's going to send him to the back. He's going to have to restart 27th here at Darlington. No easy feat ahead of him if he's going to get the job done tonight. But the guy running first who started on the pole, Scotty Sobczak, right as that caution came out, he had some internet issues, and he's disconnected from the race. So that puts Braxton DeWeese out first, and I know we've got some DeWeese fans in the chat right now. That crew showed up and showed out as always. We're glad for Chris DeWeese and all the other DeWeese fans out there. I think they've got their sponsor, Allen's Art Images, in here as well. This is a cool paint scheme from Braxton DeWeese, Chris, in that number 5. You mentioned that Terry Labonte Iron Man throwback scheme with Allen's Art Images. And I'm curious what Allen's Art Images is. So if you're in the chat, if you're still in the chat, Allen's Art Images, let us know what you specialize in. Yeah, we're curious. And thanks for everyone participating in the chat. Pace car going to be peeling off right now. It's going to be DeWeese, wheelman here. He mashes that throttle. He leads him back to green. It's going to be Josh Ward. Can he get down in front of Randy Bechtel to steal second on the restart here? He is going to. It's going to be Bechtel, and I believe that is the 65 of Stoner. They settle the issue between themselves very quickly as the rush is to get single file as to avoid any sort of catastrophe after that lap number 9 incident. Looks like the 20 of Jacob Zala makes a move underneath the 15 of Patrick Pieper. He's going to have to wait till the exit of turn number 4 if he wants to continue to make that pass, though, Chris.
Yeah, you got Jacob Zolla right there and that Tony Stewart throwback. He is giving chase to Patrick Pieper, as you mentioned. Patrick Pieper running a
it's Pieper in the wall a little bit.
I think Zolla actually tagged the wall too, just a little bit there, but they get it righted and keep on rolling. Pieper right there in a Bud Moore Engineering throwback to Morgan Shepherd in the Motorcraft days.
Yeah, it's really my Morgan Shepherd memories, Chris, are always kind of funny because I came into the sport back in 2001, and Morgan Shepherd had almost become kind of I won't say irrelevant driver at that point, but he was running near the back in the starting parks, and I really didn't know until 5, 6, 7 years ago how good Morgan Shepherd used to run and what a kind of a perennial contender he usually was earlier on in his career. So cool to see an older Morgan Shepherd throwback for Patrick Pieper there after a great finish for Pieper last week at Darlington.
Yeah.
Last week at Iowa.
Yeah, he ran great there. And, Morgan Shepherd, went from, team to team to team, and he was always typically, pretty fast in each one of those teams for a really long time. Had a lot of success, in this car. And I always think his greatest success came in that 21 car for the Wood Brothers, the Citgo ride.
Citgo, the Citgo car.
Yep.
Watching these drivers, Chris, they are starting to get loose on exit. Zolla for the past couple of laps. You can see him lose a little ground, the 15 there. He has been loose on exit for the past couple of laps, and I'm starting to see these lap times fall off a little bit. We mentioned tires in pre-race. You're starting to see the guys who are maybe saving their tires a little bit, and the guys who 16 laps into this have driven their tires off just a little bit as we ride on board here with Brandon Ayre sitting in the number 7th position. Right? Oh, Zolla loose right in front of him again. I'm curious to see how Ayre sets this pass up here and kind of have that POV view as we watch the roll speed differential between Ayres and Zolla in front of him.
Well, you heard Scotty Sobczak talk about it in our pre-race interview. You really have to look for a driver's weaknesses here because it's not as easy to pass somebody as it is on some other tracks. I always loved, you asked him the question, where do you want to make your passes at? Probably my favorite place to pass is off the corner here. I think that's where you're the most successful. If you are able to, keep your car rolling from the center off, I think you're going to wear them out here. And so drivers who are able to, roll from the center off the corner and, get alongside somebody when it coming up onto the straightaway, I think those are going to be your successful drivers here tonight.
Hey, speaking of successful drivers, Alberto Alvarez gets a little bit loose in that corner, but running 9th right now inside the top 10, right behind Steve McDonald coming up on that 42. That's a throwback paint scheme for Alberto, I believe. Is that a Kevin Harvick throwback paint scheme in that number 29?
It is. Good looking ride right there. And, Kevin Harvick throwback. And he's got it up into the top 10 here after starting in the 12th spot. I don't think that Alvarez, I might be wrong, but I don't think he got a lot of practice laps in. So as we see Evan Pienta looking to take that spot away.
Yeah, look at that heart rate climb, too.
Yeah,
this is dangerous.
In 1 and 2 right here, this is a hard pass to make right here. It's hard not to make contact through here as Rye Jones is looking at this, but Alvarez in the wall.
And that's when you have a driver to the inside and you choose to run that outside, Chris, you do it at your own peril because if you watch kind of the arc of the corners, as we watch Alberto Alvarez get a little bit loose, if you watch the arc of the corners, you've got to kind of arc it down on exit. And if you've got a car down there, you've got to stay on that outside line. And if you don't lift from the throttle enough, we're seeing Alberto Alvarez pay the price for that now by coming in contact with the wall.
Yeah, and he came into contact with Johnny Rapp right there. Johnny Rapp in that Miller Lite throwback right there, either to Rusty Wallace or Kurt Busch. He's got that car. He's currently up to the 12th position, gaining a spot right there. And, Johnny's a patient driver right here, so he made that contact, backed off a little bit, and doesn't look like he's going to force the issue. Back behind him, though, some dicing going on around here between Logan Truitt and Justin Wilson.
Yeah, Justin Wilson, Logan Truitt going at it for the past couple of laps here. Wilson in that Sabco number 58, kind of mimicking an old Sterling Marlin Coors Light car. I believe that was from 99 or 2000, Chris. He's working on Logan Truitt here, but yeah, we've seen these drivers mixing up. Logan had a great run last week, finished 3rd at Iowa, had a fast car all night long. Looking to kind of carry that momentum is Logan Truitt, that driver out of Iowa.
Yeah,
I believe. Iowa.
Yeah, he's shown flashes of speed all season, but put it all together last week to get up on the podium as the 88 of James Danforth got sideways there off of turn 2.
That 88 just had a moment right in front of Truett, and here you see it sets up another side-by-side battle as Justin Wilson makes a daring move to the outside. He's going to have to lift on that throttle not to come in contact with the wall. Regardless, he's able to complete that pass. That is a pass for the 14th position that Justin Wilson made. I just saw some smoke. Not sure some drivers up ahead. Chris, Evan Pienta in trouble. Not sure. That heart rate is rising, though. He comes back up on the track. Is he going to hold on to it? He's going to put it in the wall. But it's going to be a question of whether this brings out the caution. He doesn't hold the breakdown. It comes back on the track, and that's going to bring out a caution. You can see the heart rate on that 55 Evan Pienta up top, Chris. 110 at its peak. So some extra beats per minute there. Let's find out what happened to Evan.
Oh, some contact with Steve McDonald. It looked like, but we don't have the best view. We're going to see if we can get a little bit better view of this. I saw some contact maybe with Steve McDonald right here on corner entry. Don't know if McDonald maybe ran into trouble. I think that, okay, yeah, I do know what happened. I think Steve McDonald missed the bottom here just a little bit. He didn't quite get the turn down as much as he wanted. Wall. Yeah, and that, you know, it's just so line sensitive down in 1-2. He just kind of missed it a little bit there, had to get out of the gas. Evans trying not to run him over. They make a little bit of contact. Rye Jones in the stack up gets into the back of Evan Pienta. Nothing done purposefully there. Just, you know, it's hard. And when you get down here on the apron, it's flat compared to that bank surface. And I think he's going to come back up into Rye Jones. A little bit of contact there and gets into a tank slapper here down the backstretch.
Yeah, almost comes in contact. Rye Jones kind of narrowly misses that. Chris, big development here as we watch the replay. Your leader, Braxton DeWeese, has come down pit road. I'm assuming electing to take a set of fresh Goodyear tires here. Feeling at lap 25, maybe a little bit early, but we've got 3 sets in the pits tonight, so drivers are allowed with this longer race and hotter temperatures. We decided to give them 1 extra set of tires, and DeWeese is making use of that tire set early here as he comes down pit road for 4 fresh Goodyears. I believe Chase Berry came with him. Evan Pienta, obviously. Daniel Blau. Aaron Smith also came down, Chris.
Logan Truett.
Scotty Sobczak is back on the track, as I should say, at this point, after an internet connection issue. Watch the battle off pit road there. And, yeah, it's not a battle for the lead off pit road because many drivers, Chris, I look back all the way to right now, I'm scoring it at 17th. It might actually be closer to 20 cars stayed out on track. And that's going to put Braxton DeWeese, Chris, we mentioned it. Aaron Smith, your points leader, started back in the 18th position tonight. He got involved in the lap 9 crash. You're putting yourself in dangerous territory here. Chris, I think Braxton DeWeese might actually have an issue. He's coming down pit road one more time.
I don't know what that would be.
I'm looking at that initial time. Well, I can't see the first initial time on pit road. Let's see. I wonder if he was speeding or had an unsafe exit or something that's forcing him to come back down.
I would think that would just send him maybe to the end of the longest line.
Yeah, under a caution infraction, you would think. Let's see if we can see what happens here as he makes that trip down the long, narrow pit road on the front stretch. Let us know. Oh, he passed the pace car, Chris, coming into the pits.
Oh, yeah, that can happen sometimes. Yeah, that does happen sometimes. So, yeah, unfortunate. Hopefully that doesn't hurt him too much there as he, you know, he was going to be at the back anyway. But, yeah, this is a major development. You know, Braxton DeWeese, he got kind of hosed last weekend at Iowa. He was really fast. The strategy just didn't work out in his favor. You know, sometimes you're just gambling a lot of times with these, you know, tire sets in the races. And I think that Braxton's figuring maybe with one more set, you know, do something a little bit different tonight, and maybe it'll work out for him.
Yeah, hoping to maybe mix it up, and tire strategy can be frustrating, Chris. We both speak from experience on that, but you mentioned it. It's not going to hurt Deweese too much because he had already elected to take tires and go to the back of the field. Anyways, that's going to put Josh Ward as your leader. We're getting ready for a restart here at about 3/4 of a lap. On lap 28 of 147, this got a generally faster pace than I expected here in the early goings. Bechtel is going to be starting to the outside, Chris. Randy Bechtel, fun stat. 5 starts, now 6 at Iowa. Up until tonight, he's got an average finish of 3rd. He's one of the highest-ranking drivers in the league when it comes to Darlington. So this is one of his better tracks. Randy Bechtel looking to see if he can get win number 1 on the season. Sitting 2nd in points right now. Bechtel looking to get to victory lane for the first time tonight. I believe it's a Kyle Busch throwback. paint scheme, that Interstate Batteries car he's run before.
It is, and yeah, Randy is one of the best ones here. He's just really good at being smooth, keeping the tires up underneath him, and if this thing goes green to the end, with the track position that he's got, these drivers are going to have their hands full with him tonight.
These drivers are going to have their handful. Josh Ward's going to have a handful on this restart and slightly older tires. The 92 Boone CDJR car getting it geared up. He's waiting to get to that restart zone. He hits it. He mashes the throttle. We're underway here.
Saw Sam
Stack
Stoner
up, it looks like.
Yeah, he got loose. Sam Stoner spun the tires a little bit right there, got loose. He's got it going now, though, and I think that all of our drivers have got it together.
Yeah, right now, drivers trying to settle it out for about half a lap to see who can get those positions early on, but they've been pretty good about sorting it out early tonight. Steve McDonald having some trouble getting in a fight with Alberto Alvarez and Justin Wilson to his outside. He's going to let him slip by. Oh, he almost gets him to the back of the number 58 of Wilson there. Steve struggling a little bit early on tonight, Chris. We saw him kind of get to the wall to bring out that last caution, or to initiate it at least. Right now, Steve running in the 9th position, but he's looking like he's really struggling on those older tires.
Yeah, he's got some pressure right now from Johnny Rapp and Rye Jones behind him right there. Rye Jones looks like he's going to try to make the pass on Johnny Rapp, but thinks better of it, gets back in line right there. We hear some cars make some contact on the wall, and you're going to hear a lot of that tonight if you're listening to the broadcast and you think, oh, it sounds like a car hit the wall. Probably did, because there's just a lot of wall contact.
Oh, yeah.
As Wilson looking to the inside of Alvarez.
Yeah, Wilson looking to make up that spot on Alberto Alvarez to claim the 7th position from the driver of the 29 car, Chris. Right now in the chat, looking at some favorite paint schemes. Connor says it's Davey Allison's number 28 Texaco Haviland paint scheme. That is a great one. We heard some others, I believe. Oh, Allen's Art Images says their business located in Ohio, who specializes in horror, music, and wrestling art. Ooh, wrestling art. I might have to check that out. Who's your favorite wrestler? Let us know. Allen's Art Images. Who's the most popular wrestler you sell all the artwork for? Right now, Rye Jones
some contact.
on
Jacob Zala and Sam Stoner. Justin Wilson's around.
Yeah,
but
they're
he
going to
saves
hang
it.
on to it, Chris. Great save here on lap 32. Everyone gathers it back up. We're going to have to take a look at that because I don't know how those handful of cars managed to save it and keep us under green flag conditions. Justin Wilson losing the most spots from that.
Yeah, right here, we're going to go back right here. Coming off of turn 4, Zala and Stoner side by side entering turn 1. And this is a corner, like I said before, just some give and take here. And yeah, it's like Zala got into the wall. And I think that maybe McDonald got into the back of Wilson right there. Wilson did a nice job of keeping it together. I think that Alvarez and Rapp got together as well. A lot of stuff going on right there off of turn 2.
It's going to force the 20 of Zala into the pit, Chris. I think he sustained some pretty heavy damage as he drove it hard into turns 3 and 4 and initiated that kind of incident on lap number 32 of 147. That puts the 20, who had a strong run going, Chris, inside the top 10 tonight. He's going to pay the price here on lap 34 coming down pit road under green flag conditions nonetheless. He's going to lose at least a lap, if not more. Looking through the rest of the field right now, everything's kind of settled out. There is, I would say, back up front, Chris, Josh Ward's got Randy Bechtel kind of handedly held at bay right now. It's about a 4-car gap, and that's been stationary for the past 6-7 laps. Bechtel's just kind of lurking back there. That's the kind of driver Randy is, Chris. He's methodical. He wants you to know he's there, but he's not going to push the issue if he doesn't have to. And right now, doing a good job of just kind of lurking so much in the mirror of Josh Ward, maybe hoping to force a mistake from the driver of that number 92 car.
Yeah, he is. He's just, stalking him, sort of pacing himself off of Ward, and I think he's probably pretty content to be where he is. How about Patrick Pieper though? Up here into the 3rd spot. Really solid run tonight. We've seen Patrick have some speed all season long, but I would say, as far as runs on speed, this might be his best one of the season right here. Outside of the season opening clash that we had at Daytona.
Yeah, he's one of these drivers that just every single race he gets a little bit better. I think this is after a couple of seasons with him racing with us, this is easily his best season. We're seeing him run consistently this season inside the top 10. So, after a solid finish last week at Iowa, he continues that into the 3rd position right now. Patrick Pieper, that driver out of California. So it's a little bit earlier out there. Maybe he's just a little bit fresher than the rest of the drivers, Chris. Maybe that's part of the secret.
Yeah, maybe so. And, he's doing a really nice job right now. Another driver doing a nice job coming up through the field on new tires. Aaron Smith, we saw him go into the spin cycle earlier in this race. He's currently moved up to the 5th position in that Dirty Mo Posse throwback right there. And that number 70 machine. He's closing up on Brandon Ayers, another driver having a great run here tonight.
Yeah, and I am curious, Chris. I think on that last pit stop, he took tires. I'm not sure if he took tires after the first spin. I would imagine he probably wanted to because they very well might have been flat spotted. But regardless, he's up into the 4th position as he gets by Ayers here on lap number 38. Chris, this number 70, we mentioned it being a tall task, but he's made it look pretty easy, like cutting through a stick of butter with a hot butter knife.
Yeah, he has, and you see that line right there into turn 1. That's exactly what you want to do. Just kiss that apron just a little bit with the left side tires, run it down the hill right there. That 70 car is looking like it is hooked up out here tonight.
Hooked up indeed. That's a good-looking paint scheme. That's got to be one of my favorite Dale Jr. paint schemes ever, Chris. That I believe that ran at Richmond. Yeah, I very well might be wrong on that, but that Dirty Mo Posse paint scheme, inspired paint scheme with Junior Motorsports on the hood. That hard to disagree with a white car with orange and black flames on it.
It's a good-looking ride for sure, and we got Logan Truitt right here looking to make the pass. They get really close together. He and Steve McDonald. Here comes Braxton DeWeese. So he's trying to make the pass as well. And Alvarez!
The 29 of Alvarez makes contact with the 42 of Steve McDonald. They both managed to hang on to it. Alvarez gets into him a little bit more. McDonald, 2 saves in just as much of a lap. And wow, give the Hands of the Race award from Martin Sports over to Steve McDonald at this point, because that was a save, and he was gripping that wheel like no one's business, I would imagine.
Alberto Alvarez not making a lot of friends out here tonight. He's made a lot of contact here in the last several laps. We saw him and Johnny Rapp get together. They almost got together there again. And, I think Alvarez just it looks like his car is just doing a lot of wandering on corner exit. I see that car, just kind of moving around a little bit. So he might be struggling a little bit from that loose condition that we talked about before on corner exit earlier.
And that's only going to make those rear tires worse. If you're driving off that right rear, Chris, that's only going to continue to kind of grow exponentially in terms of how loose you are off that corner. So drivers trying to manage that early. Behind them, James Danforth almost in the wall. Battle with Patrick Colby here, who's starting on pit road, I believe. Colby's worked his way up to 14th position after starting really further back than 20th, as he's credited with for his qualifying position. But watch that pass. Patrick Colby with that Coors paint scheme. I believe that's an old Bill Elliott throwback in that number 9 of his Melling days. That was, I think, the car that ran 209. Oh, contact! Danforth right behind them, sent spinning down the corner. Everyone manages to hang on to it except Danforth. And Chris, we're still on the way. That's the beautiful part of Darlington, is even with the car sideways on the track, there's so much real estate down below the racing surface. Despite him saving it, we are still green, Chris. A lot of heads-up driving by a lot of drivers tonight. Car control has been pretty amazing to watch early in on lap 44, coming to 45 of 147. We are almost right at the half or the quarter waypoint, Chris.
Yeah, it's good news for everybody except for James Danforth, because any other track that possibly could have been a caution if he would have spun around. But yeah, as you mentioned, the apron just being so massive here, and Danforth making a really nice save right there. We stay under green, and he's not out of this thing by any stretch right here. Just keep his nose clean for the rest of this run, and you never know what might possibly happen. And we still got a really, really hot, heavy battle going on right here from about the 8th position on back.
And Chris, you mentioned that battle. I have to switch to it, but I did want to mention there is new leader. Aaron Smith took over the lead a couple of laps ago. We missed it while we were covering that near incident, but he is out to a massive lead right now, over a second and a half up on Josh Ward in second place. So new sheriff in town here in Darlington.
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt right there. And back behind Aaron Smith, you got Josh Ward, Randy Bechtel, second and third. Those drivers are still on the same tires they started the race with, but you've got Kyle Ryan right here in that Darrell Waltrip Pepsi Challenger throwback. He is coming up through the field. on fresh tires. So he's our next driver on fresh tires. And back behind them, you got Logan Truitt, also on fresh tires. He's still coming up through the field. And Braxton DeWeese is on not as fresh of tires as these guys, I don't think. Or maybe so, actually, now that I look at it.
Yeah, so he came in.
Yeah, you're right.
He came in on that last pit stop. So he is, we're comparing apples to apples. He's on the same tires as those guys you just mentioned.
Yeah, he is. I was a little bit confused about the second stop, but yeah, that was that penalty stop.
Yeah, so right now, Aaron Smith, your leader, Kyle Ryan now moves up to second ahead of Josh Ward. That number 24 paint scheme, racing it like Darrell Waltrip, one of the greats at Darlington. Kyle Ryan's got it up to second. Ward third. Logan Truitt up to the fourth position with Braxton DeWeese rounding out the top five. Bechtel on older tires has slipped back to sixth. Patrick Pieper is in seventh. Brandon Ayers, we haven't talked a lot about Brandon Ayers, Chris, but he has consistently had speed this season in that number 16, leading a pack of about 4 or 5 cars down into turn 3 right now. You can see kind of a different approach that Brandon Ayers is taking, kind of running a little bit higher and arcing it down, whereas Steve McDonald's kind of trying to hold it down for the better part of turns 3 and 4. And it looks like McDonald's got a bit of an edge right now in that 42.
Yeah, that's just different approaches. It's looks like we had a little bit of a slide job maybe trying to occur back here between Alvarez and Stoner. You get a single. Oh, Stoner in the wall. Colby.
Contact.
Yeah,
Man,
that's
Colby
Darlington
had to
right there.
yank that wheel to the left to stay out of the 65, and you mentioned it. That's Darlington, Chris. Oftentimes the wrecks are a result of a driver getting too hard in the corner and the guy right behind them kind of getting involved, whether it's in the left side of the car or the rear bumper. Either way, it takes some heads-up driving. We've seen a lot of that tonight. I can't shout these drivers out enough for the respect that we've seen for the most part on track tonight. And speaking a little bit of drivers running in the top 15, Chase Berry sitting here in 14th, Chris.
Yeah, let's talk about this throwback.
Yeah, this is a Larry Poling throwback. If you know anything about Slingshot Racing League, you know who Larry Poling is. He's kind of a staple driver in this league, one of the just most optimistic, upbeat guys who's ever raced in Slingshot Racing, and is an asset to any community. And a member of the military. I want to thank Larry for his service. Chase, obviously, throwing it back to Larry to honor his service in the military. Larry fought in Vietnam, and we are just glad that Larry's a part of our community. If he's watching, shout out to the driver of that, what's normally a 69, but Chase couldn't switch his number, so he had to stick with 46 tonight. But a little bit of a stack-up going on in front of the 46 right now, Chris. This is a hornet's nest developing as they come down onto the front straightaway, and you can see Chase Berry kind of looking like he doesn't want much part in this.
Yeah, he's not. Chase Berry is on the same set of tires he started this race on, I believe. I know he's made a couple trips down pit road. I don't really have the most up-to-date information on that, but I believe, if I know Chase, that he is probably still on that same set of tires. You got Justin Wilson back behind him. Wilson also on the same set of tires that he started the race on. You might be wondering why this race might look a little bit different than our previous.
Patrick Colby sideways. Chase Berry almost follows him down the front straightaway. Sorry to interrupt, Chris.
No, I saw the exact same thing going on right there. Some contact maybe side to side between Colby and Rapp. They get it squared away, though. Might be wondering why this race looks a little bit different maybe than some of our other Gen 6 races. And a lot of it has to do with the rules package. This rules package in the Gen 6 cars, this got a little bit shorter blade, quite a bit shorter blade, I should say, rear spoiler on the back of this car, a little bit more horsepower as well under the hood. It requires a little bit more driver finesse than maybe some of the other weeks when we just kind of let it all hang out. And so this really tests the driver's finesse.
Contact behind him. Sorry to interrupt. Brandon Ayers looked like he got in contact with Chase Berry. Everyone gathers it up. Chris, it was kind of the same story as we've seen much of the evening, with one car kind of riding it a little bit too hard into the corner and a car behind him making contact.
Yeah, that was, I keep on saying it, but that's just kind of Darlington. That's the way that this form of racing is. And up here in the 7th spot, we got a battle that is tightening up right here. It looks like Patrick Pieper has fallen off a little bit as this run has gone on. I think he's lost a little bit of speed in that 15 Ford. Got a couple other Fords closing in on him right here. Steve McDonald and Alberto Alvarez. They're looking like they want to try to get in on this 7th position here.
Yeah, battle right now between Pieper and Steve Steve McDonald. McDonald a little bit loose off the corner, Chris, and dangerous always to ride it side by side in the corners here at Darlington. But these drivers making it work right now. I'm curious to go on board with the driver, that number 42, as we kind of watch him try to set up this pass. So you can see how difficult it is to set up the pass, and we'll just let it breathe for a second and let the viewer kind of hear what it sounds like inside that car. Chris, that was an aggressive move that the driver of the 15 made to hang it all out on the outside, but he sticks the landing, and Patrick Pieper takes a spot away from McDonald that he thought was his, and that spot is the 7th position. Pieper doing everything he can do to hold on to it. We're seeing a racy Patrick Pieper in that Costco machine out here tonight. Must have had a lot of hot dogs before the race and be amped up on that hot dog.
Yeah, he got some
Costco
Simply
dollar hot dog.
Yeah, he got him some Simply Soda in him. He's all jacked up, and yeah, you know that's just a situation there where in the past, the way that traditional NASCAR racing would work, that guy who's on the outside would just lift for that guy on the inside, but you don't really see that too much anymore in stock car racing. You see these guys just race side by side into one. So see McDonald right here. Let's watch this again right here. I don't know if Pieper will hold on. This is just dangerous to try to run side by side through here because that driver on the inside will wash up into.
Oh, there it is.
Yep.
He got the wall a little bit. You got to drive it in hard if you're going to hang on the outside. And now you got to hold it on the outside again. He's got to really be out the throttle. He is going to lose a handful of positions here. And that's kind of where the methodical, need, or the need to drive methodically here at Darlington comes from that we've talked about all pre-race, all race, Chris, is you're basically, if you're going to try to hang on to that one position, if you make a mistake, you could lose more than one. And you have to ask yourself, is the risk worth the reward? And driving harder in the corners is also going to take a toll on tires, which is going to make it a little bit more difficult for Patrick as this run kind of carries on. He's driving it really hard off the corner, just making me nervous to watch every time by, and looks like he might have had enough. He's coming to pit road. Is this scheduled green flag pit stop on lap 61, Chris? This is the first stop for Pieper of the race, and our window was between 65 and 70 laps, and we are almost there to this point. So it looks like Pieper might be trying to turn it into a maybe assuming there's going to be a caution that comes out later. He's going to come down pit road and relinquish the 7th position. I know that Steve McDonald will be happy that he doesn't have to do battle with the driver of the 15 anymore, for at least for a while, Chris. And hey, speaking of doing battle, up at the front, there is a growing challenge for the lead. Braxton DeWeese just now 1.3 seconds off, Chris. He's gained about a second in the last 15 laps or so on Aaron Smith. He's consistently running about 0.2 faster than the leader every single lap. And whether it's conservation of tires on Aaron Smith's part, extra hard driving by Braxton DeWeese, regardless of that, you can see the overtake battle, the battle forecast presented by Pierce Graphics. We're looking at 11 laps. If we go green through, if there's not a green flag pit stop before that, 11 laps for Braxton DeWeese based on the current differential between lap times of him and leader Aaron Smith. That silver car is getting a little bit bigger in the mirror of Aaron Smith right now on lap number 63, 147 for the UD Award Southern 200. It is,
and got to wonder, just how much are each one of them pushing right now. DeWeese, though, I think he feels like he's got a little bit something to prove this week after, kind of having the rug swept out from underneath him last week at Iowa. So I bet he's looking to sort of rebound from a little bit of disappointment there as he is now down to less than a second that lead for Aaron Smith.
It is continuing to close, and we're going to monitor that for a little while. I'm just looking at close battles through the rest of the field. Everyone's kind of stationary right now, single file, not a lot of battles going on. A little bit further behind him, Kyle Ryan and Logan Truitt look like they're getting set for a little bit of a showdown here. But Braxton DeWeese continues, Chris. He was 0.3 of a second faster. I'm wondering if that battle forecast has shrunk at all, because he is coming quick on Aaron Smith here as we reach lap number 65, 147. getting close to halfway point here in Darlington.
Yeah, right there is about 4/10, almost 4/10 between them on that previous lap, down to 4 laps. We'll see what it shows up this time. 3 laps. He was about 0.3 of a second quicker that time. I wonder, I don't know how long these guys are going to go on these tires. Trying to look through here and see if anybody else. So Patrick Pieper, Sam Stoner, Alex Harper all have made green flag pit stops here in the last couple laps. I wonder if
Jacob Zala,
Jacob Zala, I think he's out of the race.
Sorry.
Yep, and not seeing too much more movement out here. Steve Best coming on the pit road and that Mark Martin throwback. He is looking to maybe put some fresh tires on that thing. Man, here is DeWeese all over the rear bumper of Aaron Smith.
And he's got that number 1 of Dan Berg, and that Pennzoil throwback to the used as a bit of a pick headed down into turn number 3. DeWeese kind of smells blood in the water at this point. Got really close to a victory last week at Iowa. His tire strategy fell through, looking to get back to the front tonight. Right now, lap number 67 is Braxton DeWeese looking for the lead on leader Aaron Smith. Look how much faster he can roll through the center of the corner, Chris. That number 5, give him a lap or two. Again, this is where setting up the pass is so critical. You can see he gets a bit of a run off of turn 2, but not really big enough of one to poke a hole or poke a nose underneath the 70. He's going to have to wait. And I'm curious to see if he can do it off of this corner. It looks like he's going to get a big run. But, Chris, he's got Sam Stoner behind him, who's on fresh tires, who's going to try to get by these guys as quickly as possible.
Yeah, we see right there, just sliding the rear tires just a little bit right there off of turn 4. Cost him a little bit of ground. Stoner on these fresh tires looking to try to get by. And this is probably the most frustrating track that you can race on in all of NASCAR racing because of different tire strategies, because it's so hard to pass and there's just not a lot of room out there, and it's just, you can really hold somebody up and you can really get destroyed by lap traffic here.
DeWeese very loose there off of turn number 4. Loses about 2 car lengths to the leader, Aaron Smith. But again, you mentioned the frustration of kind of a lap car who's on fresh tires trying to go by. These guys are now on 44-lap-old tires. They're almost 2/3 of the way through their life cycle here, Chris. And right now, Aaron Smith continues to lead. Kyle Ryan and Logan Truitt got a nice little battle, going on for a second. It's settled out for 3rd position right now. Just looking further through the field, Chris, I want to focus in on the battle for 8th or 7th between McDonald, Alvarez, and Berry, Chris. Alberto Alvarez has been creeping up on the back bumper of Steve McDonald for the past couple of laps, looking to make a pass, but now he's got Chase Berry to his inside he's going to have to deal with. Berry's going to lift off the throttle. He's going to think better off of it off of turn number 4. Going to wait for at least another corner or so, and again, you have to be methodical with these passes. Alvarez and Berry, they get so close to the wall. The line you have to run to be fast here at Darlington is not for the faint of heart. Nearly an inch separates the right side of the car from the wall. It looks like Alvarez might be coming in for a fresh set and a full tank of fuel, Chris. 29 coming to pit road. He's going to bring Justin Wilson with him. Everyone else in the top 10 right now going to hold station. Aaron Smith still your leader, but we're starting to see green flag pit stops take place. How long can you wait if you're in the top 10 when you start seeing other top 10 cars come in?
Well, if you're Aaron Smith and Braxton DeWeese, not a lot of pressure. You've been up front, been making good time because you're on fresher tires than a lot of these guys. If you're Randy Bechtel, and as I say that, here he comes to pit road, I think that the pressure's on you that you got to start thinking about coming to pit road pretty soon. Oh,
Richard Hurst in the wall right in front of the leader, Smith and DeWeese. He gathers it back up. It's not going to really have much of an impact, Chris, but now Johnny Rapp on fresh tires trying to thread his way through the field in front of these guys. And you mentioned it. It's a frustrating part of the race, not only for the cars on fresh tires, but the cars who are kind of faster, at least over the course of the race, having to deal with those guys that they've been outrunning all night long.
Yeah, if you've been in a race here and you've been in like a league race, a long race like this, and you've been on different tire strategies on this track, then you know how frustrating it is for some of these guys. The guys coming up on the slower traffic, it's frustrating for them. The guys who are in the lead on older tires, it's frustrating for them because they feel like they're not getting any respect. But it's just the nature of the beast here. It's not that, these guys are purposely being, disrespectful trying to get in their way. It's just, they're on fresh tires and they got to go.
Yep, Steve McDonald also coming down pit road. Chris, several cars visiting pit road right now to get fresh tires. Patrick Colby going to be coming this time by. James Danforth in the 88, his pit. It looks like Jacob Sala in the 20, still sitting on pit road. Not sure what's up with that. I heard someone just get into the wall. Not sure who that was, but several cars coming back up on the track. It can be a difficult point to merge as well up into oncoming traffic. And Chris, one thing we don't talk about that often is we watch the battle for the lead really heating up between Smith and DeWeese. When you come back onto the track on fresh tires, Chris, you're used to driving a much slower car. Here we got a battle for the lead. Looks like the Stepney got run off the track by the 58.
It was one of those situations, fast tires versus old tires, new tires versus old tires, and you see what happened to Aaron Smith.
Yeah, this is dangerous territory. Smith working his way through traffic, or I should say traffic working their way through him. He's really struggling right now on those tires, Chris, which is something we're not used to seeing out of that champion driver, Aaron Smith. But right now, he's just trying to get through to this next pit stop, which we expect could be coming in 10 laps or less. But you mentioned how long can you wait with these drivers just flying by you on new tires? And even third and fourth, Kyle Ryan and Logan Truitt, they've got to be thinking about this as well as drivers come by to get their fresh set of Goodyears. Here on lap number 77 of 147, it's Braxton DeWeese who just assumed the lead. Aaron Smith is second, Kyle Ryan third, Logan Truitt fourth. Chase Berry rounds out the top five, Chris. You mentioned Chase hasn't been on pit road in a good bit of time. He's kind of worked his way up on merit here for the most part in that number 46. He just came to pit road a moment ago. Actually, no, not a moment ago. He's on 51-lap old tires. For some reason, I thought he'd come down pit road, but he's kind of worked his way up on merit here in that number 5, as several of these drivers have. And we're over the halfway point here in Darlington. Only 2 cautions on the night. Knock on wood. I don't want to put the commentator's curse on it, but Connor Lyons made the point in the chat, Chris, this is the most laps we've run green flag most of the season, he thinks. And I think I don't have the stats on that, but I'm pretty sure he is right. A couple other notes in the chat. Insider Baseball here. Chris DeWeese says Braxton DeWeese's car is feeling pretty good. He's got it where he wanted it. Feels pretty balanced at this point. So DeWeese has got a good balanced rocket ship underneath him going forward. Hopefully his strategy is going to pay off tonight. But yeah, just looking through Jacob Chase. I'm looking at a battle right now, Chris, for the 18th position. Chase working his way underneath Alex Harper in the number 10. Looks like Chase is going to get it down the back straightaway. Those are some good-looking schemes. I'm not going to lie. These are 2 of my favorite paint schemes of all time. These guys picked some good ones. Jacob Chase in that number 8. That's a Dale Jr. throwback, and I think that is 2003, 2004, early 2000s. Definitely a Busch Series, Xfinity Series car that he ran and won at in Daytona, I believe. And then Alex Harper in that number 10. That's a kind of a Coors Light throwback for Sterling Marlin. Seen a couple of Marlin throwbacks in the field tonight. Did you ever try the Costco light beer, Chris?
No, I can't say that I did, but
the reviews were not good. Apparently it didn't last, but this is kind of a throwback to that old Costco light beer can. And man, this is a battle.
I was going to say I didn't even know that was a thing, but yeah, and
oh, Smith in the wall again. Chris Smith really struggling right now. He is back to, I'm just looking through my stats here. Where the heck is Aaron Smith?
He's still in the second spot. Just these guys are these guys are a lap they're a lap behind. We only have 5 cars on the lead lap. We'll go ahead and switch the ticker back to the default right here. Been looking at the stints here, but yeah, we've only got 5 cars on the lead lap. Give a shout out as well, really quickly, back behind those guys to Nick DeCesare in the 00. He has a little bit of a unique throwback himself. On that Chevrolet, you've got the Hartford Whalers on that number 00, and that is an NHL throwback. Ellis, you and I were talking about this in the pre-race or before the pre-race. You know what NHL franchise the Hartford Whalers are today?
I only know it because you told me, but they're the Carolina Hurricanes, which is kind of the scheme that Nick's been running most of the season. Huge Carolina Hurricanes hockey fan, decided to throw it back to the Hartford Whalers. That's a great looking paint scheme.
It is, and he is. You see the difference right there between old tires and fresh tires as he's going to work his way underneath Aaron Smith.
What's this? Look at this is a paint scheme I've been seeing, but I haven't focused in on it too much, Chris. The number 21, Brandon Waltrip right now running in the 21st. That is another great paint scheme. What's he got on there tonight?
So that is a Dale Earnhardt. I believe it was the year 2000 throwback when he ran that paint scheme in the Daytona 500. And if you were a fan of NASCAR back in those days, you know how odd it was to see Dale Earnhardt in any other color than a black number 3 GM Goodrich car. But he had a Tasmanian Devil on the hood of the car during that race. I remember that race very well because it was a Daytona 500 that he did not run well in, and that did not happen often.
No, it did not happen. Just 2 years after his lone victory in 1998 in the Daytona 500. Hey, if you haven't watched it and you're a NASCAR diecast fan, we'll give away a diecast in the chat here shortly. If you are watching and you want to win a free 164th diecast, as we watch a great battle here going on for the 19th position. Looks like Harper gave it a rub to the number 00 of Nick DeCesare, headed down in the corner. DeCesare said, I don't want to have anything to do with that. Man.
Some contact!
The 21 and the 10 of Harper. Not sure what happened there, but it's going to put us under caution.
Aaron Smith was on pit road when the caution came out.
And that's going to put Smith, we believe, not sure if he's going to have made his pit stop or not, but that is going to put Aaron Smith, Chris, a lap down. Several cars are going to be pinned a lap down outside the top 4. It looks like several guys, I don't know, Chris. I'm looking at right now the guys who are trapped a lap down, like Ward, Bechtel, Pieper, Jones. They've got 14, 13, 25, 20 laps on their tires. They can take the wave around if no one pits. But I don't know if that's going to happen.
Man.
Let's first figure out what happened here between Harper and Waldrop. Commentator's curse strikes again. Waldrop got loose off the corner, it looks like.
Yeah, that was odd. Some contact right here. We go all the way back right here, coming off turn 2 down the backstretch. So looks like Harper's wandering on the backstretch a little bit, wanders down into Nick DeCesare a little bit. We're going to ride on board. We're going to see if we can find the onboard of Brandon Waldrop right here. See that, take away the ticker right here, see if we can see that right hand of his. Yeah, look how loose Harper is right there in front of him. Here he comes right here off the corner.
Oh, man, that car is sideways even
loose
before the exit. And, Chris, what I will say, we were wondering about the wondering, but as we watch Braxton DeWeese and a couple more cars now come down pit road, one of the things I noticed in the practice session that I ran before this race is once that car started to wander off the corner, it was very hard to keep it from wandering down the track. And that is what happened there with the number 10 coming down on the 21. And Brandon Waldrop just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time in that Tasmanian Devil number 21. Good run going up until that point. But you mentioned it, Chris. The longer the run goes, the worse these tires are for wear. Watching a couple cars on pit road right now. DeWeese, the 2 of Logan Truitt, Chase Berry, the 15 of Patrick Pieper, the 24 as well. Lots of cars coming to get some tires right now. This is going to shake the strategy up a little bit.
It is, and we're going to have... I believe that we're going to have several drivers be able to get the wave around here because I think that everybody that was on the lead lap made their way onto pit road. So I think that Randy Bechtel is going to be pretty close to behind the pace car right here. I think that he will be able to get his lap back. I think a lot of guys will be able to get their laps back here, but they're going to be at a tire disadvantage to these guys who just came to pit road.
Yeah, and to mention Aaron Smith, who we'd mentioned was on pit road right the moment that caution flew on lap number 87. He's going to be credited as 16th, last car on the lead lap. I'm not sure if that's because he got his lap back or he was the lucky dog, but he is going to be the last car on the lead lap.
Well, he is... he's technically a lap down, Ellis. I think that only 5 cars are on the lead lap.
Okay.
But I think that he is going to... It looks like he will get the wave around since he is in front of Braxton DeWeese. I think that all these drivers that are in front of DeWeese here will be able to get the wave around.
Okay.
So we'll have a bunch of drivers back on the lead lap.
It's going to be a wild restart coming up here momentarily. We're going to take a second to get things reset. While we're doing so, we're going to hear from our partners at Apex Energy and DSS, and we'll be back on the other end of the break. You're not going to miss a moment of green flag racing. Back here in Darlington for Slingshot Racing League and the Apex Energy Summer Series presented by Boone CDJR. I'm Ellis Thomas, joined by Chris Smith in the booth. Getting ready for a restart. Top 4 cars were able to come get tires on that caution on lap 87 and not really suffer the consequences because they had much of the field trapped a lap down, Chris. That's Deweese, Truitt, Ryan, and Barry, who are on fresh tires, but they maintain the top 4 spots. They are in a premium position right now when it comes to tire strategy and tire management with just about 40 or 55 laps left in this race, Chris. We are past the halfway point of the longest race of the season, the UD Award Southern 200. Getting ready for a restart here.
It's going to look
Big
weird.
Advantage for these drivers.
It's going to look weird. You got a bunch of single file from 4th on back because of the drivers taking the wave around.
Several drivers had to take a wave around to get their lap back. It's going to be on Deweese to mash the throttle in that restart zone. He does so without a problem. The battle's going to be in second between Kyle Ryan and Logan Truitt, and that is a teammate battle for the Racing Factory. Second and third, Truitt in the 2, Kyle Ryan in that yellow Pepsi throwback in the number 24. They settle it out quickly, and much of the field, due to that single file restart, is going to be back single file. Aaron Smith, Chris, is weaving his way through traffic like a dart flying through the air. That 70 is on the move. He knows he's got to go. Currently in 13th position. He's on fresh tires, but he's going to have to move fast if he is going to get back to where he was running earlier in the race, second position.
Yeah, it is. He was, darting through traffic like you mentioned there, but he's kind of got to go now. He's got to get after them while he can, and a lot of these drivers in front of him have slightly older tires, so he's going to look a lot faster than them, but I think his work's cut out for him because these top 4 are on the same tires that he's on, and they have the track position advantage.
Yeah, and they've got a couple of lap cars thrown in there. James Danforth in that 88 Darrell Waltrip Mountain Dew throwback. He's looking like he's in the 5th position right now, but he's actually scored in 17th, a lap down. He's the first car a lap down. He's racing, in case there's a caution, he would receive the Lucky Dog Award and get back on the lead lap. So there's something at stake for the 88, which is why he's kind of racing up front in that traffic, trying to get as much as he can. Right now, I believe Evan Pienta is about 0.7 of a second back on him, working his way through Randy Bechtel. And this is going to be interesting to see how these two drivers race each other, Chris. Bechtel in the 51, Evan Pienta in the 55. How racy does does Randy get trying to hold up the 55, who is going to be on fresher tires?
Probably not too racy. And it's not a huge difference. It's only about
9 laps?
Yeah, it's not a huge difference, but, he also recognizes, and he's going to let him go right here. He also recognizes that's a battle that's not for position, and it is still a tire advantage, so Randy's not going to push the issue right there. Randy holding on to that set of tires in the pits right there. He's still got 2 more left and don't want to put on a set right now.
Doesn't want to put on a set right now, Chris. Dan Berg back in 21st. He's got some issues going on up top. Several drivers working their way underneath him. It's going to be Jacob Chase, who's next in line to make that pass. Dan Berg running 22nd. He's about to lose. Actually, that's not a battle on the same lap, but I'm not sure what happened to that number 1. That's a good-looking throwback, though. That is you said it was an old Darrell Waltrip throwback. I think that's what he said when he posted it.
Yeah, and so the story behind it is that Darrell Waltrip subbed for Steve Park that year when Steve Park was out injured for a while. And Darrell Waltrip, this car kind of, rejuvenated him. It showed him that he could still drive at a pretty advanced age.
What year was that?
I think it was 1998, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, see, I was about to say, I remember Steve Park having that horrific accident at Pocono, but I was like, man, I don't remember Darrell Waltrip driving that one car that late.
No, I think that I think he broke a leg or something at Atlanta. And that was back when Atlanta was stupid fast after the reconfiguration.
Yeah, they switched the back straight and the front straight. He gets into the wall a little bit there.
I think that Sam Stoner... Oh, Colby, sideways on the inside.
He clings onto it. How in the world did he make that save as they went 3 wide to get underneath Sam Stoner, the slow car on the outside? Colby, man, another nominee for the Martin Sports Hands of the Race. Patrick Colby here on lap 100. Save of the lap, at least.
Yeah, and we've seen Patrick Colby sideways many times tonight. He's done a great job of holding on to it each and every time. He's got Sam Stoner in front of him on a little bit older tires, about 12 laps older than Colby and that Bill Elliott throwback.
Yeah, I think Stoner's tires are a little bit long in the tooth at this point, as they say, 37 laps older tires, and that's the most advanced tire age right now in the field, Chris, all the way back to 30th place Daniel Blau, who's off the track right now. So this is the oldest set of tires you're looking at on that number 65, a Stoner, who started back in the 5th position, top 5 qualifying effort for Sam in that, we said that was a Porsche throwback, right, in that 65?
It sure is.
Go ahead.
I was going to say right here, we've got Patrick Pieper putting a lot of pressure on Josh Ward. Josh Ward kind of in the same boat. He and Randy Bechtel are sort of shadowing each other, I think, on strategy tonight. They're still on their first set of tires, and he's passing Ward right here. Pieper is. That is not a battle for position since Patrick Pieper has trapped a lap down.
Yeah, Patrick back in the 21st position. Oh, almost in the back of Brandon Ayers in the 16. Has to check up big time. Big tire difference, Chris. We mentioned that can be one of the most dangerous portions of the race where some drivers are on older tires and other drivers are on new tires. We're seeing drivers have to kind of weave their way through.
Oh, some contact.
Ayers makes contact with the 92 of Josh Ward.
Gosh.
Heavy contact to the right side of that 92. Dodge machine, and also gets into Patrick Colby just a moment after that. So, Chris, tonight, out of all the races we've seen in a while in Slingshot, I feel like the drivers, as edgy as these cars are, I was in practice because I wanted to get a feel for this car, and I thought, oh boy, we're going to have a bunch of crashes tonight. Kudos to these drivers they're not making these things look easy, but they're holding on to them.
Yeah, big improvement over the last few weeks for sure, as far as, the driving etiquette, I believe. We're still seeing some side-to-side contact, and I don't know how it looked on your end, Ellis, but when Colby drove into the back of Ayers right there, it almost looked like it pushed Ayers forward, as I think Braden has decided that he's had enough, and he's coming to pit road.
Yeah, and at that point, I believe, I'm just looking through, trying to find Brandon Ayers on the charts. He was on 34-lap old tires, so he was starting to feel it, and really that's the story for a lot of drivers right now, Chris. I'm looking at drivers like Alberto Alvarez, Rye Jones, and back in 8th and 9th. They're on 33-lap old tires. Starting to see these guys who did not come and get tires that last caution really starting to be hungry for some fresh Goodyears. Times are falling off big time. But hey, that doesn't matter if you're first, second, third, or fourth. These guys are on the freshest tires, and they maintain their track position. DeWeese, Truett, Ryan, and Barry carry positions 1 through 4 right now with Randy Bechtel in 5th. Oh, Derek Fike off the wall on the front straightaway. Looks like everyone's going to go underneath Fike in that number 89, but man, we are seeing, we mentioned it. I mentioned in the opener, Chris, the Darlington stripe is a badge of honor. If you can get a couple of those things and walk away with a car that's still running at full speed, more power to you. It takes a skill set that not everyone possesses.
Not at all, not at all. And going back up to the front of this thing, just to update all of our viewers right now, Braxton DeWeese still holding on to a pretty comfortable lead right here over Logan Truett. Kyle Ryan holding on to that 3rd spot. Chase Berry in 4th. These are the 4 drivers that you saw there near the front. They are holding lot steady where they were at before. Just kind of, maintaining where they were at. Looks like Johnny Rapp's coming off pit road just in front of these guys. That's going to be Johnny on his 2nd set of tires right here. Yep, and he's sitting right now in the 21st spot.
Yeah, and a lot of drivers electing to hang on to as many tires as possible for some late race restarts potentially, saving that rubber as long as it take them, Chris. And I believe, you mentioned Johnny Rapp coming in for the 2nd time. Brandon Ayers also getting his 2nd set of tires, sitting in the 22nd position right behind Johnny right now. But Braxton DeWeese continues to carry that torch. He's about half a second up, or about 8 to 10 car lengths up on Logan Truett as they work their way down the front straightaway to take lap 109 now in the books. It's going to be DeWeese, Truett, Ryan, and Barry. Bechtel, meanwhile, he's the 16-lap older tires for Bechtel than those top 4, Chris. He's kind of holding his own back here in 5th position. He's got Aaron Smith creeping up, and Chris, Aaron, we mentioned it. He came down pit road. He had to start at the tail end of the lead lap almost. Yellow flag is out. We're going to try to find what happened, what that caution is for. But we are under caution. That might have been the 92 of Josh Ward.
I saw Derek.
Yeah, it was.
Slow, but
Patrick Colby in the 9 and the 92 of Josh Ward had contact with each other coming down into 1. It looked like Ward might have been trying to look low on the 91. And Chris, same exact thing. No one's fault. Jones gets into the wall just a little bit, slows up enough for Ward to get into the back bumper, and then Colby's there along for the fun.
Yeah, and I'll try to explain what's happening here. So when you run side by side in the corner, Rye Jones can't go all the way down to that dotted line like he wants to, and because he can't, that car just picks up a big push. He has to squeeze out of the throttle, hits the wall. Josh Ward also trying to miss him, squeezes out of the throttle, and it's just a chain reaction from there as Patrick Colby got into the back of Josh Ward. That's just Darlington right there in turn 1. If you try to race side by side into turn 1 on that entry, it's just so hard to do. Right on board right here with Patrick Colby, so you see what he saw, and you see he didn't have much time. Jones in the wall, and you see right there, Ward was already sideways before Colby even hit him.
Even with the best reaction speeds, Chris, that is an impossible crash to miss, and that's just one of those racing deals. As Bill Elliott says, at Darlington, we've seen it happen at least 3 times prior to this incident on lap 111, but it puts us under caution for the 4th time, just the 4th time tonight in Darlington, South Carolina. Just about 35 laps left. This restart's going to leave us with about 33 laps in the 200-mile endurance race. And Chris, we didn't mention it as we watched several cars come down pit road. We didn't mention that tonight is also a crown jewel race. So there's not just points and bragging rights on the line. There's a $25 paycheck to the winner of this race. And lots of drivers going to be fighting for that. Chris, pit strategy update here as we watch cars come off of pit road. Aaron Smith did not come to take tires that time. He's on 26-lap old tires.
Very interesting.
2nd through 6th, DeWeese, Truett, Ryan, and Barry. Now Bechtel is on that same strategy. He is now in 6th, but he's on the same tire cycle as the previous 4. So we got 5 cars that are on that similar tire strategy now. Actually, no, I should say we've got the top 12 now.
Yeah, well,
so
I think that. I'm sorry, I was just going to go ahead and say, I think that one thing is messing it up. I think Evan Pienta maybe missed his pit stall before, and I think he had to come to pit road again right there. And so,
Okay.
and I think that's a tough break for him, obviously, because he's going to lose some valuable track position.
But yeah, it's going to be a handful of cars now on the same lifespan tire coming on this restart. Aaron Smith, is he going to be a sitting duck on this restart?
Definitely on this restart. He will definitely be a sitting duck on this restart, but he's hoping for one more caution. He's hoping for that one more caution where he can put on that last set of tires, hopefully. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, you know, maybe it works out for him and maybe it doesn't. You just never know in this deal.
Yeah, Chris, he's going to have an intense grip on the steering wheel for the last 35 laps. Most of these drivers are. Let's hear from Martin Sports real quick before this green flag comes back out in about a lap or so. Hey, getting ready for a restart here in Darlington, South Carolina. It's going to be 33 laps left on the 200-mile event from Darlington. It's going to be Aaron Smith, your leader. He's elected to take the high line, but we should point out he's on 26-lap older tires than second-place Braxton DeWeese. Curious to see what happens here for the 70 as he tries to fight for position. DeWeese trying to get as good a restart as possible. It's going to be on Smith, though. He mashes that throttle, gets away clean, doesn't spin the tires, but the 24 of Kyle Ryan, the 2 of Logan Truitt. Teammates both spin their tires and stack the field up a little bit. This is all Aaron Smith and DeWeese could ask for. Aaron Smith's not going to have much for DeWeese. He's not going to put up a fight. DeWeese goes to the point as they exit turn 2. Aaron Smith, the second car into the wall down the backstretch. That's Steve McDonald, the
Josh
21
Ward.
to 92. Also collected, but we are still under green. If they can keep it on the racing surface or out of the racing surface, we will remain under green, but yellow is now out, Chris. Cautions breed cautions. And we are under caution once again for the 5th time tonight. Meanwhile, Braxton DeWeese was able to grab the lead. Let's see if we can return to the scene of the crime here and see what happened to Steve McDonald and Josh Ward on lap 116.
Yeah, we'll have to go back here, and there we go. We finally found Steve McDonald right there in that Miller Lite All-Tel machine. It's a little bit sideways already right there. Oh, yeah, some contact right here. It looks like between he and Rye Jones. Man, it's just coming off turn 2 right here. Rye Jones, yeah, making that turn down right there. Maybe it was a little bit loose as well. Gets into McDonald, and I don't know if there was a secondary crash.
Yeah,
oh, yeah,
there
was.
I think a couple of drivers might have reacted. Johnny Rapp, I don't know if there was contact to his back bumper from Dan Berg in that one.
Oh, no.
But he most certainly got loose.
Yeah, he got loose. We're going to roll it right here. Looks like he got, yeah, he's on the apron, kind of in a weird spot right there. He sort of yaws that car out, gets it sideways. He down into Berg and into Ward.
Josh Ward.
Yeah.
Ride of the day for sure. Got lifted up onto 2 tires. Johnny Rapp might have gotten away with that. The most clean out of all those drivers after putting the 1 into the 92. Josh Ward definitely taking the brunt of that lap 116 incident, though. That's going to put us under caution for the 5th time. Man, I don't know how much this is going to shake up the strategy for the race. I don't think enough laps elapsed, no pun intended, for anyone to really rethink their strategy here. But it's going to give us about a 27-lap shootout if we were to go green. Look at that ride from Josh Ward. Just saw it a moment ago. Man, Chris, this is shaping up to be quite the barn burner. You're going to have at least 5 drivers who have a viable shot to win this race. Seeing who if anybody's going to come down pit road, I didn't see any takers that time. So this is going to leave the front 15 at least kind of unaltered, probably as far back as the 20th position or further. Chris, shout out real quick. Guy who we haven't mentioned all night, Paul Thomas, sitting in 22nd in that 40. He stayed out of trouble all night, and it's got him up into the 22nd position in that number 40, kind of white and red Chevrolet. Paul Thomas, that driver out of Alabama, doing a good job tonight, keeping his nose clean. Yeah, he is my dad, but, shout out to him for doing a good job and just having a good run, good clean run. Not something that's easy to do at Darlington, but driver number 40, Paul Thomas, has done a solid job of that tonight. So talked to him a little bit in pre-race, and he was concerned about staying out of folks' way, and lo and behold, he's done a great job of that.
Yes, and that's the name of the game here, just keeping that nose clean, and if you do that, you can usually be up there, in pretty decent position by the end of it.
Yeah, lots of drivers still in the hunt for the win, Chris. Just about 27 laps left once we go green. Deweese is your leader, Aaron Smith second, but it's a little bit deceiving because of the tire difference between first and second, Chris. We mentioned Braxton going by pretty easily in that number 5 car. Is now going to be on Ryan, Truett, and Barry, as well as Bechtel to clear the 70. I'm curious to see how quickly and how far he drops back, and that is bad news if this race were to go green the rest of the way. Aaron Smith going to be in real trouble.
Yeah, I think that he did not need that caution to fly that soon right after the restart. I think that's something that's really hurt him here, but we'll go ahead and flash it up on the screen. Having a little bit of problem with the ticker showing green. Obviously, we're still under yellow, though. Lap 119, going to be restarting here around on lap 120. So, I think that Aaron might have a little bit of trouble right here if this thing goes green from this point.
That camera shot we just had up there, kind of that overview, speaking of throwbacks, gives me a little bit of a throwback like a NASCAR Thunder race opening where they go through the starting grid a little bit. That's a cool camera angle there. But headed down into turn 3, getting ready for a restart on lap 120 here for race number 4, the Apex Energy Summer Series presented by Boone CDJR. The restart leader is going to be Deweese. It's going to be Smith second, Truett third, Kyle Ryan's going to be fourth. Deweese looking for that restart zone, so he's got the clearance to go. He's going to wait till halfway, mashes the throttle, gets away pretty quickly. Bit of a stack up behind him, Chris. Kyle Ryan trying to do anything with the number 70 of Aaron Smith, but right now he's kind of in the middle of a rock and a hard place. Smith jumps to the top. It's going to open the door for Kyle Ryan to take over the 3rd position. Randy Bechtel going to look to see if he can follow through. He's going to take it 3 wide. Aggressive move for Bechtel. Smith smartly gets out of the way, gets out of the throttle, and boy, that is about as aggressive as a move if I think I've seen Randy Bechtel ever make, Chris. But it paid off. He's going to have to deal with Chase Berry and Justin Wilson down the front straightaway, but that shows you how determined the driver, the number 51, is to get back to the front of the pack to be in contention in the closing laps. Chris, Aaron Smith already back to the 8th position. He's got Alvarez and Colby in his rearview mirror. It looks like Alvarez is going to make a jab down to the inside. Headed down into turn number 3 is going to be Colby, who's been through multiple crashes tonight, or almost crashes. He's going to take over the 9th spot from Smith. Smith now back to 10th. He's got Pienta and Stoner right behind him. It doesn't get any easier for the next couple of laps for the championship driver, Aaron Smith. Meanwhile, up front, Deweese still leads Truett and Ryan, but the battle is on for 3rd, now 4th between Bechtel and Chase Berry. Bechtel's going to make a move to the inside of the 24 of Kyle Ryan, who closes the door on the entrance to turn 3. Bechtel smartly backs out of it. He's got Berry and Wilson lurking closely behind, though.
Yeah, he does, and Randy Bechtel is standing on the gas right here. He and Kyle Ryan racing really hard. Kyle Ryan not giving him a lot of room, but we are down to about 25 to go here, so you won't see as much room given out here on the track in these final closing laps of the race.
Yeah, that 3 wide move down into 3 that Bechtel made just a couple of laps ago, I don't think is a move he makes within the first 75 laps, but we're on lap 123 of 147. Bechtel can kind of see that 5 getting a little bit smaller in his windshield, Chris, and the sense of urgency is increasing, not only for Bechtel, but Truett and Kyle Ryan, the 24, those TFR teammates. also, or TRF teammates, also are afraid of that Braxton DeWeese getting too far out in front. Right now, with the spacing I'm seeing with a lot of drivers, Chris, this race has a greenish look. I don't want to put the jinx on anybody, but we've got a green flag look for the conclusion of the UD Award Southern 200. $25 points and bragging rights on the line here in race number 4. DeWeese leads him down into turn number 1.
He does, and Logan Truitt maintaining pace with Braxton DeWeese, not letting him get away. DeWeese has a fairly comfortable lead with 3/10 right here, but Truitt still keeping him within range. If DeWeese makes one little mistake, and that's easy to do here, Truitt's going to be there to pounce.
Yeah, and then Kyle Ryan, number 24, third place driver. This is kind of a home track race. He's from Wilmington, North Carolina, not too far down the road from Darlington, South Carolina. He's sitting third. He's looking for a chance, Chris. That last time by, Truitt, second place car, the number 2, was faster than Braxton DeWeese. He's got pace here in the closing laps. I know we've got DeWeese fans in the chat. They are rooting him on feverishly here. Robert Brope says the pay window's creeping open. And then Connor Lyons wants us to crank it up just a little bit. Chris, maybe we go on board with one of these drivers. Or we got to crank it up, Cam, don't we?
We got to crank it up. We can definitely do that.
Yeah, just for Connor. Let's let it breathe for a minute. You're not going to miss a moment. Let's crank it up. All right, Chris, we mentioned Logan Truitt. He just had some issues a couple of corners ago. Not sure what happened to that number 2. Going to try to find out here in a moment. But he lost 2 positions. I'm not sure if he got loose,
sideways.
Chris, off of turn 2 and had to give up a couple of positions. But it's going to open the door for his teammate Kyle Ryan as well as Randy Bechtel. Ryan continues to try to claw away at that 6/10, now half a second gap Braxton DeWeese is built over the number 24 car. Randy Bechtel not too far behind, Chris. We are less than 20 laps away from the checkered flag here in Darlington for race number 4 of the Apex Energy Summer Series. Truitt now has to deal with Chase Berry
sideways.
inside.
That
Jones number 2 is loose.
Is around on the front stretch.
Spins. It's going to put us under caution.
Oh, man.
17 laps remaining, and he stays out of harm's way.
He does. He made some contact off the corner. I think that Alberto Alvarez, I've seen Alvarez get into several cars here tonight. I think in this situation, though, I think that Rye Jones maybe got a little bit. I don't want to. They almost got together there. And yeah, he got loose. Yeah, I thought I saw him get loose. He got loose.
Right in front of the 29, nowhere to go for Alvarez.
Yep.
So that's going to put us under caution for the 6th time tonight. Just 17 laps remaining here at Darlington, setting up a thrilling finish in the UD Award Southern 200. Kind of an endurance race for us, 200 miles tonight, as long as most NASCAR Truck Series races. Rye Jones going to be back to 14th on that. Braxton DeWeese still your leader. This is going to give Ryan, Bechtel, and Berry and Truitt another shot, Chris. And I don't want to jinx anybody, but that time Justin Wilson also looked like he was running some fast laps up to 6th position.
Here comes Randy Bechtel on the pit road. Randy Bechtel, a lot of cars.
Oh, so this is going to put DeWeese, Ryan, and Truitt, Chris. This is an interesting call. It's going to be about a 15-lap shootout. Well, these guys trust the process.
I think that, DeWeese is out of tires, I believe. So I think that he has. It's so hard to tell because there's been so much.
We don't have that data to know how many tire sets drivers have taken. We can see how many times they've come down pit road just to let you in, into this behind the scenes here. But we can't see how many sets of tires they've taken. That is kind of private information for them, but. Yeah, it looks like DeWeese is going to be out of tires.
Yeah.
He's going to be his best friends here are going to be Ryan, Truitt, Stoner, all those cars, Chris, top 5. Randy Bechtel, the first car to come down pit road, is going to be reset in the 6th position for this restart. And you got to clear 5 cars in 15 laps. Easier said than done at a track like Darlington. We've been talking about how difficult it is to pass all night on the track. Too tough to tame. Several drivers here with just 15 laps left already have Darlington stripes in their right side scraped up from this wall. But easier said than done for Randy Bechtel to pass those cars. But he's got Chase Berry, Chris, right behind him. Alberto Alvarez is going to be the 3rd car who came onto pit road. Justin Wilson also coming to take tires. Evan Pienta taking tires. I believe Colby Smith. I think this caution helps Smith a little bit, but
I mean, yeah,
we said it last week. We don't want to say he can't do it, but 11 positions in 15 laps when you got really fast cars in front of you is going to be a tall task for the driver, the number 70.
It obviously helps him because he was, just sitting positions there before, but his problem right here is that he's got several drivers who are on the same tires as what he has right here in front of him, and so I just don't think he'll be able to get through all of them, and still be able to get. This is going to be a race between these drivers on these new tires. Who can be the first one to get through traffic? Who can be the fastest one through traffic here? To possibly be able to get that lead.
Yeah, and then you got to get to the lead, right? As we watched Braxton Deweese just a moment ago, not sure if he was checking his...
Yeah, be worried.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what was going on there. Is he kind of made a beeline towards the inside of the track? Thought he might be getting ready to come down pit road, maybe just trying to fake some drivers out. But we've seen Deweese, Ryan, Truett all have speed. And don't count out Sam Stoner as he's sitting in 4th position along with Jacob Chase, Chris. Jacob Chase has moved up 20 positions tonight, as well as Kyle Ryan, who's moved up 20 positions. We had some big movers. Truett's up 16 positions. So I don't know how this is going to end. This is one of those, just like last week at Iowa, where Josh Ward kind of snuck one past the top 3 in the closing laps. I'm not sure what's going to happen. We got drivers in the some fans in the chat right now. Connor, appreciative of the Crank It Up. Chris DeWeese says, we'll see what Braxton's going to be able to do here. We got Doug Middendorf watching. Glad to see you here, Doug, rooting for Braxton DeWeese as well. Man, this is going to be a wild restart as we head towards the conclusion of the UD Award Southern 200, just half a lap away from the restart. Just to let you know, to re-rack the situation here, the top 5 cars are on 22-lap-old tires, whereas 6th through 15th are on fresh tires. This is going to create a dynamic where the drivers on fresh tires are likely to be faster. They're going to have to thread their way through traffic here. It is not going to be an easy task. We'll keep our eyes close on the action here as the pace truck gets ready to pull off. Braxton DeWeese eager to mash that throttle and get away from the rest of the field to see if this will be his first victory of the season. He's got some work cut out ahead of him, though. It's going to be DeWeese. Takes us back to green flag. We'll see if anyone spins their tires. Doesn't look like it. Chase, actually, the number 8, that blue and white Oreo machine, spun his tires. He's going to hold up Chase Berry, and it's going to give Randy Bechtel a great option, Chris. He's going to try to get underneath the 65, headed off the corner here. Contact between Evan Pienta and the number 58 Justin Wilson.
Oh, we got
and
a car in the wall on the backstretch.
4 wide, headed down into turn 4, right in front of that car in the wall on the backstretch. Chris, we're still under green. Not sure who that was, if that was the 6 of the 92, but we're still racing, and Braxton DeWeese has sailed off to a half a second lead. He's got about 8 car lengths as we come close to closing in on the 10-lap-to-go mark, Chris. DeWeese is sitting in a really good position right now.
Oh,
car
Alvarez.
sideways. That's Alvarez. He's going to collect Berry hard into the wall off the corner, Chris. It's going to put us under caution for the 7th time tonight.
Steve
Lap
McDonald.
136. The 42 also gets collected. Let's see if we can figure out what happened between driver number 46 and 29. And we mentioned Alberto Alvarez has really kind of seen his fair share of contact tonight.
Yeah, he's been in the middle of a lot of stuff here tonight, and I think that started in front of him. I think that Sam Stoner, we saw Stoner get into the wall earlier. I think that he made some contact, and I think that Alvarez, I don't know if he didn't have time to lift.
He had to react, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if he just didn't have time to lift, or if he decided that he was going to try to turn left here. Yeah, you know, that's tough. I can't really put that on Alvarez at all. He was trying to miss, and you know, Chase Berry wasn't quite there yet. He was getting closer and closer, and that's just one of them racing deals right there. That's racing at Darlington.
That is indeed racing
And
at
unfortunately,
Darlington.
Steve McDonald, as Chase Berry was coming back up the track right there, you saw that contact with him into the outside retaining wall.
Oh, yeah. And at that point, you're Chase Berry. And even though he took such a hard hit to the wall, that thing popped off of it like a pinball. And no matter how hard you're holding those brakes or turning that wheel, that thing is just not cooperating. So puts us under caution, Chris. It's going to give us about a 6-lap shootout if all goes according, not to plan here, but what the pace driver is telling us. Man, Deweese, I would think would be a little bit, I know this means less laps under green for Deweese in that number 5, but he had gained about an 8-car length lead over Truett and Ryan. I think he's definitely got the faster car. I think you got to be worried about Randy Bechtel here. He picked up 2 positions on that. He's going to be starting on the outside of row 2. It's going to be tough to hold off that number 51 for more than a few laps, Chris.
Yeah, I think that this caution maybe is a good thing for Deweese. I don't know. It's so hard to say. I think that it is going to be hard, you know, but, you know, maybe the new is a little bit off the tires of the 51. Maybe that's the hope of the 5 right here on this restart. You know, Bechtel still has to get through these guys, and he has to get through them fast. So I think that if Bechtel, Pienta as well, who's also on new tires, I think that they want any shot to win this race. I think that they maybe have to, you know, jump on this restart and maybe clear these guys fairly quickly to, you know, maybe set their sights on Deweese.
Yeah, I think every single lap is going to be critical here for drivers like Randy Bechtel and Evan Pienta, who were on those fresh tires, Justin Wilson, Sam Stoner, who looked like he was, you know, got a little bit of contact with all that kind of initiated the contact that brought out the caution there on lap number 137. But hey, we're about half a lap away from a restart. Actually, I thought we were half a lap. I think we're getting close to...
Yeah, lap and a half.
Yeah, lap and a half. I'm not sure we've gotten the 1 to go yet here. Drivers not lining up fully side by side yet. But hey, Chris, the intensity is about to pick up. And speaking of intensity, we're going to hear from our final partner tonight, Buck Kicker, who brings all the intensity and the vibrations. Actually, are we getting ready for a restart here?
No, I think we're coming to 1 to go.
Yeah, let's hear from Buck Kicker before we get this 1 to go and go green. Not going to miss a moment of green flag racing. About a lap and a half, or half a lap, I should say, away from the restart. Hopefully the conclusion of the UD Awards Southern 200 is going to be 7 to go. 7 circuits around the 1.36 mile track. Too tough to tame. It's going to be Braxton Deweese, who's your leader, followed by Logan Truitt, who's going to restart on the outside. Ryan's going to be 3rd. Randy Bechtel's going to be 4th. That Bechtel, number 51, that green and white machine is on the freshest tires. We believe in its advantage, but he's going to have to act fast with just 7 laps to go. Deweese is going to be in charge of getting them restarted here. We'll see what he can do in this restart zone, whether he waits or he goes early. He's going to go near the end of it. He's going to get a nice jump, Chris. He gets away from the number 2 and the 24 of Ryan and Truitt. They're kind of his 2 best friends at this point. Chris, Randy Bechtel gets passed by Evan Pienta, who goes to the inside of Truitt. That 55 is on a mission. Keep an eye on that heart rate. 118, now 120 in the top right hand of the screen. Evan Pienta in the 4th position. He's got the freshest tires in this battle right now. Stoner off the wall again. He's going to put us under caution for the 7th time. 2nd consecutive caution. The 65 is brought out, and he's going to collect a couple of other cars with him, Chris.
Yeah, we saw right there, saw at the top of the screen, Steve McDonald just plowed into Sam Stoner right there. Yeah, we'll go back
In
to
the 91, to be fair, the 91 made a late move, and I don't know if Stoner was ready for it, but when that 91 drifted up the track, it put Stoner into the wall. That's the danger of making things too wide in the middle of the corner, though.
Yeah, it's time to go, and yeah, it's it's just tough racing here. We're gonna go back, look at this from overhead. Rye Jones making a lunge to the inside right here. Nothing, yeah, he's sliding up a little bit right there, but also looking at this, the 65 also has a lot of room high as well. He's trying to pinch off the 91 though, make his life difficult because hey, we're racing right here coming to the checkered flag, and gets the 65 up into the wall. 65 bounces off the wall down into Aaron Smith. Aaron does a nice job of keeping that thing straight. Thought he was going to be okay right here with just minimal contact, but you'll see the 42 of Steve McDonald coming along. And yeah, Steve I think he just guessed wrong. I think that he figured that maybe the 65 would be clear of the top by the time he got there, and unfortunately hits the 65 right in the driver's door.
Yeah, for a moment, it looked like the 65 was going to drift down the track for a moment. But, hey, regardless, it's going to give us a green-white checkered. I believe I don't know if it's actually going to count as a green-white checkered start or not. I don't think we're going to hit lap 146 before we go back green flag racing. So it won't count as one of two attempts, most likely. But, man, I'm looking at the 55 as being in the prime spot right now. He's got a car, Logan Truitt, with slightly older tires behind him as kind of a barrier or a buffer between Justin Wilson and Randy Bechtel, also on fresh tires. You got to look at the big loser from that restart, Chris, has got to be Randy Bechtel, who lost 2 positions. Yeah. But more importantly, those 2 positions were cars that were on those same fresh tire strategy as him. So chances of that 51 winning, they're not gone, but they took a hit right before that caution.
They definitely did, and that's just the nature of the beast with these restarts. These guys on older tires. Sometimes your lane will move, and sometimes it won't move. And I think Evan Pienta's sitting in a really good spot, other than maybe a little bit of connection issue. We've seen that car blinking quite a bit here on the pace laps. But if I'm Braxton DeWeese here, I gotta consider my lane of choice here on the restart. I know that taking the bottom lane might be preferred because you might feel like that driver on the inside of you might wash up into you, charge into the corner, wash up into you, maybe use you up there in turn 1. But if you also restart on the top lane, you're going to put Evan Pienta, I think, at a little bit of a disadvantage because Evan's got to start second lane on the bottom. So maybe you want to give him a little bit of a difficult position because that driver who restarts on the inside second, that driver never gets as good of a restart, it seems, because they don't want to jump it. So definitely some possible decisions to be made here for Braxton DeWeese. Is he going to take the top or is he going to take the bottom here on this restart?
Yeah, and we don't want to discount Kyle Ryan, who's currently running second. I see him having some connection issues. But you're mentioning it. We're going to see here the choose, at least for the leader, where he is going to stack up. And it looks like he's going to stick with the top, Chris. I think we're getting ready to grid him up here. I think you're right. I think that's probably going to be a good move. Seeing Evan blink out a little bit. Hopefully those minor connection issues don't come back to bite us. But Connor said, I feel like this season's seen a lot of cautions more than most slingshot seasons. And, yeah, I think we've seen a pretty edgy car, Connor. And I think tonight you've definitely seen that. I think we ran 75% of this race with minimal cautions, but as the laps tick down, drivers are racing a little bit harder, and these cars are on edge much of the lap. So on edge right now, man. Braxton DeWeese, Kyle Ryan, Logan Truitt, Evan Pienta. Randy Bechtel is going to be credited, Chris, with 5th. Actually, no, he's going to be 6th position. My timing lied to me, but fans watching at home right now, let your friends know we're getting ready. It's going to be looking at my laps, it's going to be 2 laps to go. Green-white checkered, essentially. Look at Evan Pienta's heart rate up there, Chris. 108. I'm curious. That thing was up to 125 beats per minute right before that caution. Let's see what it does now. Braxton DeWeese's heart rate's got to be rising as well. He's going to be the leader as the fans rise to their feet. DeWeese is going to enter that restart zone for maybe the last time tonight. He gets a great jump. Ryan struggles to get going. Evan Pienta makes it 3 wide, headed down to the inside. Pienta's got to go now if he's going to make it work. Right now, we're still green. Kyle Ryan holds on to it. Justin Wilson gets off to the races as well. Wilson wants a piece of Pienta. It's going to be Braxton DeWeese headed down the backstretch. He's got half a lap left once he hits the line. One more lap. Deweese is going to come to the white flag. If we get there, this race is official. Deweese is going to cross the line for the penultimate time. Deweese 1 lap away from sweet victory, the first one of the season. Evan Pienta and Wilson don't look like they're going to have anything for the driver of the number 5. Driving that Terry Labonte Ironman paint scheme. Deweese is looking like an Ironman tonight. In the past 2 races at Darlington, Deweese has averaged a second-place finish. Bridesmaid, not tonight, though. He's going to be P1. Deweese wins it in Darlington. Pienta will be second. Justin Wilson will be third. They crash across the line. Several cars going to be torn up here. We'll look at the replay and find out what happened, but Deweese is all seeing it in his rearview mirror. He's your winner tonight, claiming win number 1, getting back into the points chase as well.
Yeah, with a little bit of a difficult night tonight for Aaron Smith, this is going to be a chance maybe for some drivers like Braxton Deweese to be able to, gain some ground possibly on Aaron Smith.
And we're going to wait for Braxton Deweese to make himself available for a post-race interview. Hopefully he gets in here. We'll make sure that he knows to get in here. Give me just a second while I get all of this set up in the broadcast booth.
And while Ellis does that, I will tell you that this was much needed for Braxton Deweese. You heard Ellis mention it back there. He kind of got bit by the tire strategy last week at Iowa. It looked like he possibly was going to get bit by it again here tonight, but wound up working out for him, and he was the class of the field all night, so this is definitely a deserved victory for the driver of the number 5.
All right, we're going to bring in Justin Wilson, your third place finisher, and hear from him first. Hey, Justin Wilson, this is Ellis and Chris up in the Slingshot booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, boss.
Hey, man, you threaded your way through some needles there in the closing lap. Congratulations on that third place finish. I know it's been kind of last week was a little bit tough for you at Iowa, but you're looking to rebound tonight. I would say it's a fair statement that you did so. Talk to us about kind of the most difficult part of this race for you in terms of how the car was handling and getting through traffic.
No, I mean, it was all right. It's just a little frustrating because we felt like the strategy played in our favor with the yellows, how they fell, but at the end, I guess we all just lost our patience. And so we didn't really get to showcase our speed like we had wanted to, but I felt like we were really fast. I know we started in the back again, but passing was difficult, but if you saved your tires and took care of your tires, passing was pretty easy on the long runs. So, like I said, it's just frustrating, but I'm happy with the P3. Don't get me wrong, but I just feel like we didn't get to showcase our speed tonight.
Yeah, man, no worries. I hate you didn't get to showcase the speed. Before we let you get out of here and go celebrate that third place finish, you got any shout-outs?
Oh, yeah, I want to thank you guys for putting the show on. Thank my teammates, Chase, Randy, and Ryan. We had a good run. I mean, I know Ryan had some hiccup there at the end, but we were all nose to tail there at the end, so you can't expect any better from a good group. And thank all the sponsors, Apex and the bunch, and we'll get them next week, man.
All right, man. Congratulations, Justin Wilson. Third place finish tonight at Darlington. All right, you heard from Justin Wilson. Now we're going to pull in Evan Pienta, your second place finish. Chris, I'm curious how he's feeling based on how high we saw that heart rate going.
Yeah, let's see how he's feeling.
Let's see. I thought I had him in there. I almost did. He should be in here now.
All right, Evan Pienta, our second place finisher. This is Slingshot Booth. You got a copy?
I do.
Man, we were thinking there on that next to last restart that you were sitting in prime position right there to possibly capture a victory. Was that next to last restart really what you needed to maybe put yourself in position?
I think so. I was a little conservative on those last 2 laps, especially into 3 on the first lap of that final restart. I didn't want to give it away and lose some ground to Justin and then get fighting with him. So I kind of just took it a little bit easy there and then almost put myself in the wall in 1 and 2 the next lap. I think if I didn't mess up those 2 spots, I would have been able to be on Braxton's bumper, entering 3 on the final lap and had a shot. I think an extra lap, I definitely would have had something for him. But I think it was overall, I think it was just a little little conservative on my end that cost me a chance at it. But
Yeah, we saw you set fastest lap there on the last lap, and do you have any guesses as to what that heart rate was reading there on those last couple laps?
I was probably going to be in the 150s if I had to guess.
152. That was the highest we saw.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I could definitely tell it was getting up there, especially those last two restarts off of two on the initial lap. It was pretty sketchy, trying to get by those guys and hoping they don't slide up into me or bounce off the outside wall into me. So hoping that didn't happen, and it did, and it didn't. But overall, I think it was just an up and down race. I got screwed by the strategy early or got spun out early. That was just a little bit of ran into the back of, I think it was Steve. He was checking up in his mirror, he said, and I got loose and then tried keeping it on the apron and came back up and doored Ryan and spun out, and so that put me behind, and then got trapped a lap down, and that after that long green flag run got the lucky dog, and kind of halfway through the race I thought my chances were over, but we just kept clawing at it and got back up to finish B2.
Yeah, definitely a great recovery for you tonight and great finish. Any shout outs you want to give before we let you go?
You guys for putting the broadcast on and the league. Johnny and Scotty for the other admins, and Robert for being the race control. Apex Energy, Boone for being the premier partners of the league. All the other league sponsors, Evan Pienta Designs, obviously. A lot of throwback schemes out there looked really good. Epic Machinery, all the guys on F. Scott Motorsports, James, Steve. Give a special shout out to Jacob Bradley for being in my ear as the crew chief tonight, and all the rest of the IUPUI gang.
Yeah, you definitely had those paint schemes looking good out here tonight for this throwback race. That's Evan Pienta, our second place finisher. Congratulations, bud.
Thank you.
All right, Braxton DeWeese, winner of the UD Awards Southern 200, man. This is Ellison Chris in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Hey, man, well, you finally made it happen after kind of falling short last week at Iowa and heartbreak in the opening two races. Tonight was the night. You were the Iron Man of that Terry Labonte paint scheme. You brought home a victory, and, man, was there a moment, let's jump to the beginning, where maybe I think there might have been a moment where you were kind of doubting yourself. It ended up working out in the end, but walk us through that decision to come in with no one else and take tires.
I didn't think I really should have done that after I did it, but I kind of just went with it and just had to hope it went green there, and that I caught a caution at least after everybody pitted and had some laps on their tires to where they had to pit again. So it ended up working out. We ended up catching up to Aaron and passing for the lead, and being there until the caution came out. And I was really after I got tires there and a couple cautions happened, it wasn't too close together, and the run started to go on. I was like, all right, just please stay green. I'll be honest, I didn't have much faith, but just always hoping and whatnot. So caution ended up coming out, and I was like, we're screwed. But them cautions definitely helped me out there. It definitely would have been interesting for them if the cautions, didn't stack up right there at the end. But finally worked out in our favor. We could, be in victory lane and talk to you guys tonight.
Yeah, man, we're excited to talk to you. I know that that last 15 laps or so, we just had a handful of cautions. And I know on that first caution you were devastated, but Chris and I spent a few minutes kind of debating whether or not we thought these cautions were good for you or not. As the cautions kind of built and the yellow laps kind of accrued, were you thinking that this has put you in a good position because it just meant less green flag laps to have to hold off those guys on fresh tires?
Yeah, most definitely, especially since it didn't go green a little bit longer. I felt like it might have played in my favor, even, just a little bit more if we didn't have that long of a green flag run, the caution came out sooner, because they had them tires, and at that point they were just, trying to find the positions that they could, and they just lost it. So, like I said, I'm glad it worked out, and glad that we were able to, keep enough tire on it to stay out front, and also to have a big enough gap there on the last restart. So I'm relieved. That's just basically how I'm feeling right now, because Darlington's like my most favorite track on the service, on that, just in general. And I feel like I put a lot of pressure on myself to win every time I come here. I feel like I do a good amount of testing and practice, and find the right line that I need to, and for it to finally pay off and come home in victory lane at my favorite track. It feels pretty good.
Well, man, we are glad to interview you. I know it's been a long time coming since last 87 series you ran with us during the summer of last season, or last year, I guess. But congratulations, great job tonight. You are the Iron Man on track. Before we let you go, you got any quick shout outs to your partners or friends?
Most definitely. We usually have Interstate Ford on the car. We've had them on the car for the first couple of races this year, and we switched to the Allen's Arts for the 1996 Terry Labonte throwback that he ran at North Wilkesboro. They ran 2 races that year. The first race they ran that year, he practically dominated and ended up winning that. And that was obviously the Iron Man scheme that like you just said. So awesome that we're able to do the same thing, and just at a different track, run it one time and win in it. So I believe you ran one time in it. So it's pretty cool to be able to do that. And shout out to Allen's Arts Images. He already gave me a message. I seen the notification. I haven't been able to reply back to him, but he's listening right now. So
he was in the chat watching. So
most definitely, he's always a big supporter, and I really do appreciate him, and everybody else, including Interstate Ford, Bennett's Publical, Jane's on Main, Deweese Renovations, Boot 34 Diecast, Unrivaled Cinematography, Bully Dog Coffee Company. You can actually use the code BRAX5 for 10% off if you want to get some coffee over there. It helps everybody out, and I appreciate him for letting me do that. So go check it out and just see if you got any coffee that you'd like to try and whatnot, and use BRAX5. And I appreciate you guys. You guys always do a great job of just running the league, doing the broadcast, doing the social media. I mean, y'all pretty much do it all yourself, and not many leagues do that, and y'all do a pretty damn good job of it. So I really do appreciate y'all, and I also want to give prayers out to Brian Tunall and his family. Definitely going through tragedy right now. So prayers out to him, and hopefully we can go and see him and Dottie soon. They're always pretty cool people to hang out with, and energetic, and just all in all, just awesome vibe when you're down there hanging out with them. So I look forward to going down there and hanging out with them, and catching up. And like I said, we're just happy to be in victory lane, and I appreciate you guys.
Absolutely, man. We appreciate you. Good job tonight, Braxton DeWeese, winner of the UD Award Southern 200. All right, Chris, man, this race had it all. We had some long green flag racing. We saw some green flag pit stops, so we weren't sure if we were going to see that in what a season that has been fairly chaotic with these cars, these Gen 6 NASCARs just running on a razor's edge in really close, tight pack racing with the way the package is designed with the spoilers and whatnot. But tonight, it separated guys in terms of guys who had finesse, who could treat the throttle and the brake like it had an egg underneath it. And Braxton Weiss did the best job tonight, especially managing those tires in the late goings of the race. We're headed to a very, very different track. Next week. Sorry, my computer was tripping up just a little bit, but we are going to be headed to Talladega, where pack racing is going to be pretty much nonstop 3 and 4 wide next week, Chris. These drivers are going to be able to let go of their hair a little bit, throw the hair back, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I enjoyed some great racing tonight, and just some good technical racing by almost every one of these guys, especially the guys who had contact and saved it. We saw more saves behind the wheel tonight than we have in a long time.
Yeah, after, several races of drivers just sort of being jam-packed on top of each other for lap after lap after lap, it was great to see drivers be able to, finesse their machines out here a little bit more. And, I feel like this is, I've said it all along, that I feel like this is like the ultimate driver's track. And, the drivers that, typically run well here, they are guys who are, on top of their game and can really, manage the race probably better than most others. And nobody was better tonight at that than Braxton DeWeese.
Yeah, he did a great job, and it was a great race overall. Pretty fast pace over the course of the night. 7 cautions, most of them occurring in the final 20 laps of the race. Drivers picked up their intensity quite a bit. You can see Evan Pienta's heart rate climbing over the final quarter of the race, including that final restart or two. Chris, man, great season so far. We've reached the halfway point. This is going to shake the points up a little bit. Head into Talladega next week. If you thought this one was exciting, just hold your breath until next week because it's going to be even crazier. The good news is you can catch it same channel, same time. But we're going to be at Talladega next week, 8:30 Eastern Time, next Tuesday for Slingshot Racing League in the Apex Energy Summer Series, presented by Boone CDJR. From Darlington, I'm Ellis Thomas, joined by Chris Smith. Have a good week, everyone. We'll see you in Talladega.